Hello. Hello, everyone. Today is reveal day for Path of Exile 2 patch 055. We also will be learning, I think, a little bit more about swords and the Duelist because, of course, if you have been completely out of the loop, ZiggyD announced that swords will be here at the end of the year with 1.0 along with the Duelist class. Some people are holding out hope that swords and the Duelist will come in patch 055. I don't think that's happening, but we'll learn in about 30 minutes time. I've seen way too much hope about this. It's definitely not a possibility. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think swords could shadow drop with 055? Even though I think it's quite obviously coming in 1.0. It would be pretty wild if they did that. However, looking at the reception of swords, it's polarizing, actually. I've had some people in the community play with them at Gamescom. I've seen Zizarin's reaction to swords, and it kind of reminds me of the initial reaction people had with spears. If you don't know, swords have parry built into them, and to access sand stands or blood stands, you need to parry. And once you enter either one of these stances, you get a pretty powerful buff to your skill. This isn't the case for every single skill out there, but it is the case for, it seems like, most of the sword skills. So the balancing there will be interesting. It does sound like multi-button playstyle will be pushed with swords, which I'm a fan of. But I know a lot of people out there are not, and that's perfectly okay. Hey Valatis, what's happening, dude? Hey Bananakin, hey Canadian Napper. You guys all ready for this reveal stream? I'm pretty pumped. Had a long work day, no lunch. Last night I was supposed to stream, but my daughter's open house went long. She starts school in 2 weeks, preschool. Starts preschool in 2 weeks. So she met her teacher last night. We met her teacher. We went into her classroom, and then we went and picked up a Wonder Wagon after, because you guys don't remember, we're about to have a third kid. So we need to upgrade from small wagon to the Wonder Wagon, which can hold 4 total kids. We can't have any more kids beyond 4. Twitch site has also just died, by the way. Is that because people are watching Grand Theft Auto stuff? Or are you talking about my Twitch stream has died? My work from home now? I have always been work from home, yes. It doesn't look like Twitch is dead to me. That would be bad if Twitch was dead. Let me check. Twitch channel. No, I see Twitch. Twitch is live. I see Twitch. We're good. Whew, thank goodness. I try. My name is Suki, and I love this game and your content. Thanks for the podcast and news. I play you while I play PoE too. Well, thanks, man. What? Why are you laughing? My wife is laughing at me reading this message. What are you laughing? That's a very nice message. What? Okay. Okay, I'll reduce our water heater's temperature. My wife really wants me to turn down the temperature of the hot water heater. Okay. I'll do it, because apparently our energy bill is higher because I've had the hot water heater at a pretty high temperature. Oopsie daisy. Twitch only has a few problems. Refresh the Twitch website or try to click discover and back to channels I follow. Okay, so Twitch does have a few problems. So if you guys don't know, there are drops today. Once the stream starts in 25 minutes, if you watch on Twitch, you will get an all-flame mystery box if you watch for 30 minutes. We have the reveal, and then we have the Q&A afterward. If you want to watch on YouTube, I do recommend YouTube. You can have Twitch on in the background and then YouTube on for the actual stream viewing. Remember, I am a weird streamer. During the reveal, I am acting like a viewer. Besides my face moving in my normal, how I would react normally, I'm not going to say much during the reveal. I like to be quiet. I like to take it in myself. Let you guys take it in. And they don't stream on YouTube still, which is kind of crazy. You stopped at 4 kids as well. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what we do with 3 kids. Anyway, all flame mystery box. If You watched for 30 minutes today. Kind of funny thing. ZiggyD sent me 10 All-Flame mystery boxes for the launch of Curse of the All-Flame. Big problem, though. Hi, sweetheart. I did not play Curse of the All-Flame. However, they still sent me the boxes. And when's a better time than now to open the mystery boxes? Because we can get the mystery boxes for watching this live stream. So, everybody, I am going to be opening the mystery boxes right here and now on stream, right before you can potentially get it, or you can get it just by watching. Yes, we have a new Discord. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but essentially, I nuked the old Discord because I didn't moderate it well enough, and it became too clicky, and I just don't think people were welcoming, and I don't see how new members would be encouraged to join. So I made a new Discord. I know that old Discord had like 5,000 some members. I don't care. It was not the community that I thought represented myself or the channel well. So I nuked it, and I was going to advertise it today. But yeah, if you have a lattice, you already saw it. So feel free to join the new Discord. It's !new Discord. That is the link. Gotta follow the rules or I will ban you. I just want it to be a place for people to have fun, to chill, be respectful, not for people to bit. I almost did it. To bicker and to battle each other. No, I don't want that. Too hard to moderate, so I insta-ban anybody. That doesn't follow the rules. Okay. All right, you guys. All Flame mystery boxes. You can get one of these for watching for 30 minutes. Thank you, Grinding Your Games, for giving me these 10 mystery boxes. As always, I usually don't buy these. Don't buy these if you're addicted to gambling, okay? They're just cosmetics in a video game. Let's open all 10. We've got the tracking scroll of exotic items. Tracks the amount of various exotic items you have picked off the ground. Okay, cool. We've got the Golden Horns helmet attachment. I actually saw a couple sick drips using that this league. The Sovereign hideout. Let's go. That's a boat hideout for those of you who don't know. That's probably the one I wanted the most. I'm going to set up a boat hideout right after this stream. Silver Avian Knight back attachment adds the Silver Avian. Okay, so these are a pair of wings. People love wings, but I'm not a huge wing fan. I got the other hideout too, but this one destroys your FPS. This is the on fireplace. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, but that's still pretty cool. My luck is insane this time. Yokohama's Jade level up extra effect. Okay, that's cool. I might use that. Gold Avian boots. Okay, so the bottoms of an armor set. Nocturne Watchman helmet. I actually love this style of helmet. Could probably use this on a couple characters. Yokohama's Jade weapon effect. Let's go. I love weapon effects, especially if they're not too flashy. This looks like it might be a little flashy. And then the last one from ZiggyD, Gold Avian Knight gloves. So I have what? 2 of the 4 pieces of the Gold Avian Knight set. I got 2 hideouts. Oh my goodness. That's pretty good luck. That's pretty good luck. All right. We did the drop. We did the polls. We did the polls, you guys. Now we're going back to talking about today. What's happening today, you guys? We are getting a Path of Exile 2 announcement. Patch 055. All right. What the heck is in patch 055? We know it's going to have balance. Okay, that is a given. I hope it comes with a lot of nerfs, personally. But I think ZiggyD has been lifting up stuff more than knocking things down. So maybe there'll be a couple nerfs, your sparks and the like. But I don't expect too many nerfs. I think they're going to lift stuff up. That's a given, though. Will they have something surprising for us? Lots of people think we're going to get an Ascendancy class added in 055, maybe 2, the Druid and the Rangers, the Arcane Archer, and whatever the Druid's final ascension is. Maybe there are new skills that they're adding. Maybe they'll add a new Atlas Master. That's something that they hinted at doing. Maybe they're going to add some unique items or new skills. I think new skills and new Ascendancies would be the most exciting things to add to the game. I gotta tell you, even though I've been streaming once a week, I've been playing casually in the background. A lot of Path of Exile 2. I've tried some other games too, including Curse Mark. It was an interesting time playing some Hollow Knight, but I keep returning and playing the Path of Exile 2 campaign in hardcore or with challenge rule sets, and it's very fun. the more I've reflected over, I think I'm not an end game grinder. I like the opening experience of Path of Exile. I can only play, and this probably sounds crazy to anyone who's not in our circles cast, but I can only play like 40, 50 hours of the end game before I kind of get bored. It's too repetitive, especially with the speedy gameplay that the end games become. By the way, that boss looks so sick, the Cyclops boss. And after that, I got a dip. Or I can play the campaign, and I actually really enjoy that. And look at this weighty gameplay. Oh my gosh, we have Omega Cybers in the chat, I think. Did I see Omega Cybers, or am I crazy? Yeah, Omega Cybers. Bro, you are at Gamescom. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Go back, play games. Omega Cybers got to play the Duelist today. The Omega Cybers opinion that you needed to parry to do damage in a lot of cases. With the setup he had, apparently they were using magic items, low mid rolls, and they had no control over their passives or their supports. So, you know, I think that there's no way you're going to be required to parry to do damage, especially in the end game. And I think a lot of people have a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to parry because of how parry was initially implemented into Path of Exile 2. You'll remember 0.2, it was kind of trash. It was, right? It was especially, like, the damage was all right, but the tracking and the timing to parry was terrible. Terrible. They've made a lot of improvements since then, but I don't know if many people have played with parry. So, Refutation is also kind of parry-esque, too. Meaningful combat enjoyers assemble. That's right, Traff. See, I'm pumped for No Rest for the Wicked 1.0. That's going to be really, really fun. Hey, Grillian. Hey, SK. Hey, Teed. Hey, Zhao. What's happening? Are we there yet? 17 minutes to go, bro. How's it going over in New Zealand right now? Maybe the Duelist will get an ascendancy node that allows parry to work like Hex Bloom. So, yeah, but then that would explicitly be, I mean, I guess parry's also on bucklers. I was going to say they don't want to isolate ascendancies to working with specific weapons, but I guess that ascendancy would work with bucklers and with swords. Although it looks like you can wield a sword and a buckler, which is interesting. I wonder if they'll add parry to the spear itself or keep it on buckler, because we know that parry will be on swords as a default. What are you hoping the most to be improved? Try? Oh, okay. Well, my opinion, I hope that the progression curve is smoothed out a little bit more so that you can't progress your character's power as fast in the end game to the point where you're obliterating stuff really early on. I'd love to see that curve smoothened out a bit, because right now it's quite steep. That would involve either nerfs to characters or increases to monster power. So I don't think that's going to happen, because that's not the direction they're going with Path of Exile 2, but that's what I would be most excited to see. Even in the campaign, I think that with certain combinations and a little bit of luck, you can start annihilating bosses. I've been doing Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 runs where I basically have nothing except for a weapon that might have one good mod on it, and you can essentially just annihilate bosses with maces, with crossbows, with spears. The only ones that I have trouble with are spell-based builds. Spell-based builds, I don't know how to get those to work exactly. There are a couple spells that do really well, like Volcano with Frost Bomb. That does really well. Bone Storm, I think it is, does really well. But a lot of other spells, if you're not going into these channeling spells, they don't do a lot of damage. So I would love to see the curve straightened out there. What do I think is actually realistic, though, that I would like to see improved? I would like to see more ascendancies have game or build defining nodes. Like the Gemling has, the Spirit Walker has, the Martial Artist has. I think that would be the most likely candidate for something that's coming in 055 that I would like. So just make more ascendancies, have a couple of those whoa nodes, like Way of the Stone Fist, the boss node for Spirit Walker, the Gemling node that adds equality to every single gem. Stuff like that would be very exciting. I would love to see it. By the way, I didn't say thank you for all the support on the video yesterday, guys. That has been my most successful first 24 hours of a video in a year. Absolutely insane. And I know that there was a YouTube view change, so I was like, oh, it's the YouTube view change. Nope. Still my best video in about a year in the first 24 hours. It's probably going to trail, of course. It had a very low lifespan because it's news. It's stuff that's going to come out today, tomorrow. It's going to trickle out the rest of the weekend. But the first 24 hours, it's the best performing video I've had in a long time. So really appreciate it, you guys. Hey, Brutal Hamster ZA. Greetings from South Africa. Love the content. Appreciate it, bro. Glad you're here for the reveal. Oh, Omega, you're back home already. Oh my goodness. How long's the drive for you to Cologne? Hey, Judan. What's happening, man? Pairing Spark with Orb of Storms, Frost Orb, and Firewall Fries. Okay, so that's the combo with Spark. I've been trying to figure out stuff myself. I started melting bosses with Volcano, Frost Bomb. It's kind of ridiculous how much damage I was doing with that. I saw speculation that parry may be a skill on certain sword bases, but I was wondering if it might be in addition to dual wielding martial weapons. I think parry is on all swords. I believe it's on all swords. Hey, BobX, what's happening, bro? Last patch for me was the best. Could do any content on my explosive grenade Merc. This patch was not remotely as good. Hope 1.0 or the mid league flips my luck again. Oh, 0.4 BobX was your best patch. I hope swords don't have any combo BS, just straightforward annihilate mobs and bosses. Well, my friend, from what we've seen so far, swords do really lean into combos, but I'm sure there will be sword builds that don't do that. They seem to lean into combos and channeling. I saw this one. Let me see if I can pull up the tweet. The animation was incredible. It was by Anna Cake. Anna Cake Live. Look at this. Look at this animation, you guys. Look at this. She posted it. Look at this sword ability. Oh, it's like perfect strike. Like, oh, it's so chunky. And look, this is the massive sword that we were seeing too. But the question is, will you use that while clearing? Can you use that while clearing? I swear this game has its like, it has this push and pull, this dichotomy of let's make these skills that have these great animations that are meaty and weighty and they look great and they feel impactful, but then let's also throw a million monsters at you that will kill you while you do that animation. It's like it will only work in boss fights when you've got like the boss stunned and then you can do the giant hit. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It looks so good. Loan is less than an hour from a friend. Ah, okay. Try your keen for ExileCon. Do I know the hours the convention will be open? I don't know the hours. I know it's Saturday and Sunday, November 7th and 8th, New Zealand time. It could be snipe for swords. To be frank, try the whole point of having multiple 6 links is not that every skill needs to work while clearing mobs. 100%. 100%. No, Atop, you're totally right. I have that mindset because that's still how a lot of Path of Exile 2 builds do work that I've played, right? But you're totally right. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I'll find a way for it to work. I'll find a way for it to work. I promise. All right. Back to the stream. Need to do this as the bear on fire at 12 foot tall. Okay, I was seeing some amazing ideas where Agnar, Count Geonor's sword, what if it could be used while in wolf form? Guys, how amazing would that be? I would lose my mind if we could be Geonor or kind of look like Count Geonor and be wolf wielding a sword. Oh. Yeah, my dad is in the same camp. He wants to use the giant sword. 100%. Tons of skill speed and just skip the animation. I know. Isn't that what's happened with, what is that? Perfect Strike? Yeah, that's what happened with Perfect Strike. All right, I'm going to turn off notifications. Turn off notifications. Notifications are off. Okay, let's... Oh, they're playing the trailer again. I wonder if the bulk of this is just going to be talking about Duelist and Swords. The moment this opened, by the way, I knew it was for the Duelist. Also, I love seeing Oriath in the past and then Oriath in the present. This Cyclops thing is sick. Omega Cybers said that you can parry it out of a lot of its attacks. It has like a spinning ball attack and everything, and you can parry it and just stop the animation entirely. Yeah, lots of different skills going on here. We have Lacerate. We have this Whirling Slash here. We just have these leaps. A lot of different skills. And I talked to one of the devs. This is about half the skills of Swords. Maybe a little over half, he said. So there's still quite a few sword skills that we have not seen. That's like a flicker. That's very cool. That's a blink. And then Cyclone, which is what everybody is very excited about. The animation for Cyclone does look pretty sweet, I will say. And that's just the base animation. Hey, thanks for the Prime sub, Kroll. Appreciate it, dude. Hey, Deathstalker. What's happening, man? Now we just need a waifu skin for that giant sword. Incoming crossover with Honkai Star Whale. Speaking of those type of games, that new game, Notice Ball from Hoyoverse, I might play that. That looked pretty cool. I've never played Genshin or Zenless Zone Zero. I think those are the games that Hoyoverse makes. That game looked awesome. And I know everybody's saying it's just a rip of Elden Ring. Okay. It looked... No, I won't say that. I don't want to tell people too much. But it looked good. It looked good. It looked like it was very responsive. You're let down by Swords. Well, the Bearded Dryan, or the Bearded Ryan, probably. That's probably your name. I'm reserving judgment until I play them. Of course, I'm going to start 1.0 with a sword build. So we'll see how clunky or how smooth they are, how good they feel to play with through in the campaign, through endgame. I can't wait to bash my head up against Act 5 and 6 with swords. Because that's coming in 1.0 as well. Yeah, we haven't... Man, there's been a lot since I last streamed. 1.0, guys, December 11th. December 11th is the day. Get your PTO in. So do we think the Taming Ring will work with Cyclone? It needs to be a wind skill, and Cyclone does not have the wind tag on it. Maybe that's an oversight from Grinding Gear Games. Maybe that's intentional. But for now, no. The Taming does not work. Hey, ya boy, what's happening? I'll say this once the entire stream. Everybody in the YouTube chat, if you want to go ahead and hit the like button, that really helps push the channel and the live stream and the algorithm. I always love getting as many people as we can in here on YouTube. And if you're watching on Twitch and would like an ad-free experience, a smoother experience, you can pull up the YouTube stream as well, instead of just on Twitch. Twitch for the drops, YouTube for the quality, and being able to pause, go back, whatever. But as always, I will not be talking during the entirety of the live stream. You might hear just like one little peep, but mostly I'm just silent listening with you guys, taking notes, taking it all in. I'll give my thoughts at the end of the stream before the Q&A. And it's going to be a shorter one anyway. It's about an hour and a half. The race starts at 5 p.m. my time. I might watch a little bit of the race and give my thoughts as the race starts. Anybody else cheering for an Angormus here? I am cheering for Angormus. Yep, my wife is cheering for Angormus. I think everybody should be cheering for Angormus. Hey, what's going on, man? The drops for today are the All Flame Mystery Box. 30 minutes watching. My number one thing to have in 5.5 that I think is realistic, cooler nodes on the Ascendancy classes that already exist in the game. Give me some more sick nodes. Make Ascendancies more exciting. Make them so exciting that a numbskull like myself can look at the node and be like, whoa, that is awesome. I want to build around that. I want more of those defining nodes. The race, it is the ExileCon qualifier race. It's the very last spot. It's all the way to Tavikai. The first person to kill Tavikai wins the final slot at ExileCon. 3 people have already qualified. There's 1 spot left. The winners will all compete in a race on stage at ExileCon for a grand prize of like $20,000. And they can brag and call themselves the best Path of Exile 2 player as well. And I'm rooting for Angormus, a guy that dies. He qualified during race 2 last week. There was someone whose name escapes me. I'm sorry. It's not. Is it Jigglypuff? I think it's Jigglypuff qualified last week. And then week 1, somebody else who came out of nowhere just qualified. So I'm rooting for Angormus. Thank you guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. You asked for cooler notes. Now all ascendancies are cold theme. Not happening, Iran. By the way, what's going on, man? You have that day off already, Bellatus? Well, look at you. Mega hype, you guys. Oh, I do hope it's good. All right, we're going to put on the actual... Let's put on... Here we go. The stream music. Oh, they've got... Okay. PoE 1 track going? Yeah, I think they got a PoE 1 track going. Alright. Hey, Eric Lee, what's happening, dude? How you doing? Yeah, today has dropped. Just have your Twitch on in the background. You'll be good. Bow market will crash once again once we get Arcane Archer. I don't know if we're going to get Arcane Archer. It's not confirmed. Hey, Epic Chrissy. Try, is there any way you can talk to GGG about letting us have companions and minions in our hideout? Oh, like having them out on display? Oh, that's an interesting idea. Tarkaon, thanks for the sub, dude. Appreciate the prime. Did I ever finish Expedition 33? Bro, I've been singing the praises of that game forever. I beat that game in 2 weeks. I couldn't stop playing Expedition 33. What a fantastic experience. Yeah, Back Massage 64. What an interesting profile name, by the way. Back Massage 64. Martial Artist is such an interesting ascendancy. I really hope they go back and revisit the others in 055. It's funny that my hairstyle is different than every YouTube thumbnail. Well, the thing is, sometimes I take a shower and then do the thumbnail. Other times, you catch me when my hair is dry and then I do the thumbnail. But I am trying out a different hairstyle with like bangs now that you pointed out. Combing it down instead of combing it back. You notice this? My wife doesn't even notice, guys. I really appreciate all you guys on YouTube talking about my hairstyles. Also, somebody said the Duelist looks like Talkative Try. I saw that on Reddit and I was like, thank you. Also, what? No, close up, he looks pretty sick. You didn't see him. My wife thinks the Duelist looks feminine. So, hey Tuloth, what's happening, man? You put the music to it behind a random video maybe yesterday? Yes, I did. Yep. I put in Lumiere la Luib. What are we expecting from the GGG video? A lot about the Duelist, and hopefully a good chunk dedicated to all that's coming in 055. I'll say it one more time. For those of you who are wondering where the old Discord went, I nuked it, and I started a brand new one. If you'd like to join it, ! New Discord. There are some pretty strict rules in place, and if you don't follow the rules, you will be banned. I want it to be a chill place. I don't want people fighting and bickering. You have many other corners of the internet to do that, like Reddit or other creators' Discords. Not my Discord. We got a chill Discord. I want to go there, and I just want to chill, have fun with other people who enjoy Path of Exile 2 and other games. So that was the last ad for that, because I've had so many messages about it. All right, we're down to a minute, you guys. Notifications are off. All right. People were just bickering a lot. It became too clicky. So, I had like 5,000 some members in it, but I didn't want to kick anyone, and I just wanted to restart from scratch. All right. All right, you guys. Oh, please be good. Here we go. All right, I'm adjusting the sound. Yeah, that should... Sound should be good now. We'll see when Mark or Jonathan starts talking. Ooh. Oh, here we go.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2, and today I'm excited to show off our new class, the Duelist, which will be available in the 1.0 release on December the 11th. But for those of you who just can't wait until 1.0 later this year, after showing the Duelist, we'll also be showing off a new event based on the Ritual League called the Forbidden Rites, which will be releasing next week along with the 055 update. And after all that, a Q&A with ZiggyD to answer your questions from Twitch chat. But not only that, afterwards we'll be going straight to the final qualifier for the PoE2 races, the winner of which will be going to ExileCon in November to compete in the finals. But first, the Duelist. Now the Duelist comes with a new weapon type that it's kind of crazy we didn't have, swords. And with each new weapon type, we want to make sure that the playstyle feels different to all the others.
Looks like it.
So what defines combat with a sword? To us, it's that feeling of flow, from attack to attack, and from stance to stance. And what better place to demonstrate the Duelist's abilities than the ruins of the Grand Arena? The corpses of the dead continue to fight endlessly as the arena collapses around them, and should you get to the center, you'll be able to face Thrax, their champion. The first mechanic we need to talk about is Ready Stance. After using some Duelist skills, you can keep holding the button to ready your blades for your next strike. Normally, your basic sword slash would look like this, but in Ready Stance it turns into a deadly AoE slash instead. Your Ready Stance also has the ability to be upgraded. This is Sand Scour, another Ready Stance attack, and if you stun enemies with it, you'll enter Sand Stance, and using this with your default attack will send out a sand disc. But default attack isn't the only ability that can be modified by your stance, like Perforate for example. This skill is a triple stab, where the third strike sends out drills, bleeding your enemies. But from Ready Stance, you can skip right to the drills. If you use it from Sand Stance though, it will send out a bunch of mini sand discs from every enemy it hits, perfect for large packs. Together, these basic abilities give a very unique feel to sword combat. It's quite different than any other class we've made, flowing from ability to ability. There's also some abilities that you can use while in Ready Stance, without breaking it. A good example are war cries, like this one, Intimidate.
Time to die!
Use it to deliver a cutting insult to your foe, intimidating them and causing your next attack to knock them off balance. Another great ability you can use already is Rending Dash. This movement skill slices through monsters, but since you stay in Ready Stance, it allows you to reposition to the perfect angle to strike. So far, we've been using Sand Stance to tackle these enemies. But what about Blood Stance? For that, we'll need to switch from two-hand to dual wield.
Oh.
Now with swords, we wanted to make sure that the different options of one-hand, two-hand, or dual wield each have their own interesting playstyle. So unlike other weapon types, dual-wielding swords gives you the ability to parry attacks. Follow up with Bloodied Blade to enter Blood Stance. When using this one with default attack, you'll create a deadly blood wave, causing your enemies to bleed. And of course, Blood Stance will also work with other skills that benefit from stances. So use it with Perforate for example, and you'll get a bunch of mini blood novas. Once your enemies are bleeding, you might want to try out Hemorrhage. This skill creates deadly blood slashes that drastically speed up the bleeding on your enemies. And once the enemies have built up enough blood loss, slice through them with a Rending Dash to consume all the blood loss for a giga bleed.
I was born for this.
Now one skill we couldn't have made the Duelist without is Cyclone. It's an absolute fan favorite, and just like before, when using it, you can spin to win. But this class is all about using stances, so how about we try it with one of those? Use Cyclone from Sand Stance, and you'll be spewing sand discs at your enemies left and right. Great for AoE clear. Now Parry also had a significant upgrade compared to before, and it's a lot more reliable now. But there's also another way to parry monsters that doesn't require waiting for them to attack you. By switching to a shield, you can now bash enemies straight out of Ready Stance to parry them without waiting for an attack.
Okay.
During the arena's heyday, challengers would first have to face deadly beasts to test their mettle, so why should it be any different now? Before you can face Thrax, you will need to defeat these dangerous adversaries to prove your worth.
This area is awesome, by the way, the monsters.
Born for this.
Another trick the Duelist has up his sleeves are buried blades. Earthrend creates blades that slice through the ground towards your enemies, and once in the ground, these blades have a few uses. The first one of these can be done using Charged Slash. The basic version is a simple lightning-infused cleave, but do it from ready stance, and it changes into a deadly spin, sending out lightning projectiles. But Charged Slash can also be used with the buried blades. Hitting them will turn them into mini Tesla coils, dealing lightning damage to nearby enemies.
Okay, the sword skills.
It seems here we have a warrior who refused to die. I'm sure we could put his equipment to better use.
Just a petty thief.
Quiet. I've no guilt in this.
What? Like Merkley.
You could also switch to a two-hander to plunge your blade into the ground, sending out a set of 3 blades that explode. But if you use Earthrend first, then you can get even more blades, and the blade plunge will make all of them explode. If you want an even greater field of blades, using Ready Stance with Earthrend has an interesting effect. Instead of creating one blade, it makes an entire wall of them. You can also hold the blade plunge skill to charge up the swords even further before they explode. Ooh, watch out for those chimeras. So for maximum damage, use Ready Stance into Earthrend, charge them up with Charge Slash, and do a held blade plunge for a massive explosion. But that's not all. Blood and Sand work with the blade plunge too, to empower all your buried blades. Use it with sand to generate continuous sandstorms around all your blades. And this can be a devastating combo to blend bosses. Or use it with blood to create blood pools around each blade. Cycloning through the blood pools will add blood to your cyclone, so that can be a fun option. But while we're talking about that, Cyclone counts as a storm, so it can pick up other elemental ground effects too. Blade Conduit will summon a bolt of lightning to your blade and create shocking ground, and cycloning through it will add lightning to your cyclone.
I have the power!
Combine it with the blood to get both effects. And of course it's possible to get blood, sand, ice, fire, and lightning all at the same time on your cyclone. You guys will have to work out a good build for that yourselves. Already you can see from just the tools I've shown you, this class has a lot of interesting combinations of abilities.
Yeah.
With even just a few skills, there are a huge number of options you can do in combat. Now before we get to the boss fight of this area, there's just one more skill I'd like to show you.
Oh shoot.
World Cutter. Charge it up and unleash the ultimate slash. But that's not all. Like so many of the Duelist abilities, it can be further enhanced with Blood Stance, or Sand Stance too. Alright, so those are just a few of the tools the Duelist has at his disposal. So let's use them to face the true threat, Thrax, the champion of the arena.
World Cutter's pretty cool. Oh. Hit the ground. Ground is weakened. Oh, that music, by the way. Gotta use World Cutter to finish this guy off, right? I figure I can talk during this since nobody else is talking. Okay, guys. You're gonna be able to do these skills faster. And they'll be more powerful. Don't worry. You'll be busted. I know you all want to be busted. You'll be able to be busted. Here we go.
Alright, so that's a taste of what we have in store for the Duelist. It's my favorite class I've ever worked on, and provides a really dynamic combat experience that's just quite unlike any other ARPG. But we also wanted to show what kind of possibilities there are for the Duelist in the endgame.
Oh, shoot.
To do that, I'll hand things over to Mark.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Today, we're going to go through 2 in-game builds that we've put together for the Duelist made by our developers. Our first build is called the Bringer of Blades, a mighty name once feared in the arena. This build is all about rising buried blades from beneath the ground. Some say each sword created by this build is from a foe slain in battle in the gladiator arena, and from the afterlife, they offer their sword back to you in respect. The bread and butter of this build uses Earthrend, supported by the lineage support Calm's Madness, to maximize the efficiency of creating buried blades. It combines that with the Blade Conduit skill, to charge up all the blades with lightning. You can also use the Astral Projector support on it to be able to do so from ranged, if you want to minimize risk and play shock ground underneath your enemies. We also have Earthrend supported by Electrocute, so that we can keep the enemies crowd controlled. Then it's just simple. Spam Earthrend, occasionally using Blade Conduit to refresh the charged lightning on all the blades. For stronger enemies, or larger packs, we want to be able to get sand stuns. The best way to do that while clearing is using Combat Frenzy. Simple, now you're generating frenzy charges. With those, we can use Sand Scour to enter sand stuns. And from sand stuns, use Blade Plunge to cause sand discs to appear on all of our many buried blades, covering the screen in storms of sand. Of course, you want to use Eroding Sands too, because as the sand discs are doing many small hits, you want to make sure enemies have as little armor as possible for maximum damage. Alongside that, since we're doing lightning damage, we're also going to throw in the new support Sandstorm, which causes our sand discs to become infused with lightning. The other tool we're using is this support, which causes all your buried blades to add miniature auras that give you damage. To double down on that further, we have this new passive skill Notable, which also causes your buried blades to make you angry, causing you to generate rage on hit while near them. With those, we want even more buried blades. So, let's take it to the extreme. And for that we have this skill, Rain of Steel, which allows you to call down a whole ruckus of swords, covering the entire battlefield in buried blades. It's pretty obvious what to do next. Just use the existing combos, and the entire screen becomes surging with lightning as sand discs run wild. There's more coming even still. Alongside the Duelist, we've made a whole bunch of new epic swords.
Oh my god.
I mean, just look at them all. This build in particular uses this sword, which causes all your buried blades to be enhanced by Karui magic and become ancestrally boosted. Then, take these new passive skill notables, specifically for boosted attacks, to improve your efficiency even further. There's a few new ways to boost attacks with the Duelist, and we're excited for you to discover and integrate them into your builds. With all that combined, look at this actual mayhem. Now, we tried to not use unique items on this build, as we wanted to show its potential with just standard gear and skills. But this next one is a different story. So, let's move on to our second build. Here we have the Scourge Walker. For this build, we wanted to do Cyclone with a twist. For that, we're going to use some uniques, starting with a new sword being introduced alongside the Duelist, Oro's Sacrifice. This sword grants a ton of fire damage, at the expense of your physical damage, and grants a new skill called Infernal Step. Infernal Step itself is pretty fun, and pretty epic. Use it as you flicker around, burning enemies as you strike them. Be wary though, there are both upsides and downsides to using this skill consecutively. Each use gains you a stack of Sacrificial Flame. While this isn't inherently a downside, using Infernal Step while you have Sacrificial Flame causes you to take fire damage, and the more you have, the more you take. So you want to make sure you mitigate as much fire damage taken as possible. In order to do this, we're using even more uniques. Like these, which have received some changes. Molten Tenet and Zoph's Blood. Then we've just gone and used good armor gear in our core armor slots to stack up as much defense as possible. So, what about damage? We're doing a few things here that are pretty out there. Given we're using Oro's Sacrifice, we're dealing purely fire damage. However, we still need to be able to bleed for some huge DPS you'll see soon. To do that, we're using this unique ring, Blistering Bond. This allows our fire damage to scale bleeding, instead of physical damage. Our last unique is Beric's Respite. As said originally, we want a Cyclone, which is a wind skill, and can benefit from elemental ground surfaces. Now, our Cyclone is a fiery vortex. One last thing to note before showcasing our Scourge Walker in action is that Oro's Sacrifice also grants you frenzy charges while at maximum sacrificial flame. This will allow us to fold Bloodied Blade into our rotation between Cyclone sessions to get Blood Enhanced Cyclone. Alright, now you can see our basic rotation. First, we use Infernal Step a few times. Then, once we have a frenzy charge, we use Bloodied Blade. This puts us in Blood stance. And then it's simple, Cyclone away. As you can see, we have the perfect harmony of demonic powers. Blood and fire fill the screen. Honestly though, we need to add some horror and flesh to the build to really embrace the fantasy. For that, let's use this new support gem, which we will put on our Cyclone. Given we're already bleeding, this can cause enemies to shed chunks of flesh when hit, which explode after a short delay. Check out this ruckus.
That's his favorite word,
Oh,
you guys.
and while we're at it, let's add even more fire by using the Fan the Flame support. At this point, you can already see how much this is getting out of control. I love it. You may notice we have an excess of frenzy charges. So, you want to throw on Echoing Strikes, which consumes all your frenzy charges to cause our next Cyclone to create a bunch of Cyclones. Feel free to add Infernal Cry to the mix, cause why not? Okay, well it's already pretty damn strong, but we can push it further. What about single target? For that, we're going to make use of our second weapon set, and use a one-hand sword and Targe, which grants parry. However, instead of using a regular Targe, we're going to use this Runeforged Targe, which grants us a special version of parry that maintains its stances when used. So if you are in Blood stance and use it, you will remain in Blood stance afterwards.
Oh.
This includes while using the dashing parry that Jonathan mentioned earlier. We are going to want our parry debuff duration to be as long as possible, so we can spend more time spinning. To get that, we're using another new sword base type. This one adds base duration to parry. We've also then invested into as much parry duration in this weapon set as possible on new passives on the tree. Now, we can make this even better by using a new support that allows our parry to apply Armor Break. And to get it to benefit from our fire damage, we will anoint the Molten One's gift on our amulet. Now, our Armor Break causes enemies to take extra fire damage. So now, we just get into Blood stance using Bloodied Blade, use parry, which dashes in, keeping us in Blood stance, then we
Oh my
Cyclone
God.
our way to glory.
Oh
Don't
boy.
forget to also use Echoing Strikes once you get enough frenzy charges. I mean, just look at this damage. You may have noticed we didn't show any Ascendancy classes. That's right, these builds weren't even Ascended, so their build potential goes so much higher. And the Ascendancies are pretty epic. Here's some art to tease them. But to find out more about that, you'll have to check them out when we show them at ExileCon later this year.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed our Duelist demonstration. We're really excited to have you get your hands on it and start slicing and dicing throughout Rayclast. Now, Path of Exile 2's full 1.0 launch is later this year on December 11th. But if you just can't wait till then, next week we are doing our 055 update, and it includes a bunch of changes as well as a new event. Given that, it's finally time to talk about Forbidden Rites, a new event based on the Ritual League that will be starting with our 055 patch next week. But that's not all. We also have a massive overhaul to the Trial of Chaos, some new in-game Abyss content, and more. So, let's dive straight into it. The King in the Mists and his cultists, left unchecked, have spread their influence. By his will, the Nameless have been performing gruesome rituals throughout Rayclast, all the way from the forests of Ogham to the deserts of the Marraketh, and even Utsal and the Karui Islands, afflicting everything around them with a foreboding darkness. As you can see, they've been quite successful in their efforts, and if not stopped soon, who knows what will become of Rayclast. During the Forbidden Rites event, your goal is to put an end to their nefarious plans. In each area of the campaign, you'll find a ritual encounter. For those unfamiliar, these are effigies that are guarded by the Nameless and their servants. By defeating them within the ritual site, you can then activate the effigy and fight them again as they are revived by dark magic, all whilst various plagues will try to kill you. Defeating the revived monsters causes their blood to go to the effigy to be used as tribute. After the encounter, use the tribute you earned to acquire rewards. These rituals, unlike their in-game counterparts, will not exclusively reward unique items, and instead will give you a bunch of items useful for leveling, like currency for crafting your gear alongside a bunch of equipment. Ultimately, in every area, you get to kill some monsters and then go on a small shopping spree.
Ritual loot.
However, we know people liked having unique item rewards from Ritual, and we wanted that to still be present in the campaign, but we just couldn't give one out in every single area. Throughout each act, 2 times, and once in each interlude part, you'll see these clusters of more epic ritual effigies on the world map. When you reach these areas, you'll notice that unlike normal, the effigies aren't just in a random location in the area, but they're on top of the area's boss fight. By completing these boss rituals, the boss will then be carried forward and added to the next ritual in the cluster in the next area, where you'll face it as part of an increasingly dangerous series of boss waves. For example, the first cluster you'll encounter is shown here, containing large effigies in Clearfell, Mudburrow, the Grelwood, and the Grim Tangle. If you complete the ritual in Clearfell, the Hag boss will appear during the ritual in the Mudburrow, alongside the Devourer. Once you've completed that area, the ritual in the Grelwood will include Brambleghast, alongside the Hag and the Devourer. Then, to top it off, when you get to Grim Tangle, the ritual in that area will have its boss, the Rotten Druid, and the previous 3, totaling 4 boss fights in one epic final showdown. That's where the unique rewards come into play. By completing these epic boss ritual encounters, you then get to spend your tribute on unique items. Given ritual is the content of the league, we wanted to make sure it worked in multiplayer well. Historically, only the creator of the area gets to spend tribute at the end, while your friends just have to watch. We've made some improvements to this experience. In 055, every party member earns their own tribute and can spend it on their own rewards, so no one has to miss out. In order to make it not too rewarding in groups, we've restricted it so party members are unable to reroll the shop, and they have fewer options available to choose from. So, that's the campaign and a multiplayer improvement. But what about the endgame? Given that ritual was already available to be added to your maps. Well, once you reach the endgame, you'll still have ritual encounters in every area, and they'll still give unique items and omens, but we've added one extra mechanic here to add new difficulty and reward heights to your in-game maps.
Oh.
After completing rituals in endgame, you want to keep an eye out for this item, a Sacred Bloom, which you can spend tribute on to acquire. If you happen to find one, you can then use it and apply an entrance to the Wildwood to an in-game map of your choice on the Atlas. Then, when you enter that map, you'll find this entrance at the start of the area. By entering it, you're sent into the Wildwood. You have limited time here, but while in the Wildwood you can find wisps, and you want to follow the trails of them and collect as many as possible. There are 3 different types of wisps: primal, vivid, and wild.
Oh boy.
When you then have to exit the wildwood, the wisps are freed and will spread across the map, possessing and influencing many monsters.
It's Affliction League.
Primal wisps, when freed, can cause normal monsters to become magic monsters. Vivid wisps, when freed, can add additional modifiers to rare monsters. And wild wisps add rarity of items dropped to all monsters. If you're rarely lucky, keep an eye out for these sacred wisps. I wonder what they do. Of course, you can gather all 3 types of wisps if you really want to juice your maps. And by using ritual tablets, you can increase the amount of wisps found while in the wildwood. Be warned though, while affected monsters drop better items, the wisps also empower them, making them considerably more difficult to defeat. So, that's the Forbidden Rites event. While it isn't a full league in the traditional sense, it gives you the perfect opportunity to start in a fresh economy. For those of you who enjoy having clear goals to work towards, this event league also introduces a new set of 8 challenges.
Oh,
These include completing the campaign rituals, defeating named rare monsters, reaching level 90, and more.
baby. Oh, baby.
Completing them will earn you 4 exclusive cosmetic rewards and a statue for your hideout to commemorate your success.
Oh, heck yeah.
Swarm your enemies with the Locust Footprints effect,
I'm a
and
sucker
send
for
your
these.
foes scurrying to their demise with the Locust Swarm Finisher effect. Fear the dark no longer with your Wildwood Guardian pet at your side, and level up in fashion with the Wildwood Affliction level up effect.
Okay, the pet is cool.
Next, let's talk about the Trial of Chaos. Since early access launched, we've received a lot of feedback about the Trial of Chaos.
It's trash.
It was just obvious that it wasn't good enough. So we've gone through pretty much every part of this trial and made improvements across the board. There's so much to cover here, so let's just fire away with some of the more important changes. Starting with a banger. You can now leave the Trial of Chaos between rooms and resume later at your leisure.
I was expecting something more, but
Alongside
that's nice.
improving almost
Look up.
every aspect of the encounter types, we've made far more of the rooms just about slaying all the enemies, instead of the more specific objectives like escorting the statue or implanting soul cores. We've increased the size of that pesky elevator and made them more responsive.
Thank you.
We've made the doors between rooms open quicker and from further away.
Oh.
We've shortened the distance between rooms to have less running.
the goats.
We've added a lot more inherent scaling to the area and to the Trial of Sekimas too, to account for the lack of Atlas Tree. We've made the Trial Master only time freeze to spawn in all the monsters once at the start of the run, instead of in many of the rooms. On top of that, we have done a full pass on all the modifiers, making them significantly less dangerous at lower tiers, and
Thank
rising to
you.
the same difficulty at their maximum tier. Additionally, all the modifiers now grant bonuses to item rarity too. The modifiers now also have better descriptions, being more explicit about what danger you're signing up for.
So good.
We've also added a new kind of modifier, called a wager modifier. These are meta mods that can significantly increase the danger and reward of your trial. For example, this one increases the tier of every modifier already applied to your run, but in exchange for that, doubles all the currency you've earned so far in the run. There's about a dozen of these, and they have some pretty interesting effects. Sometimes you want to apply them early in the run, other times late. They add a very cool dynamic element to the mod selection between rooms. The Uxmal the Beast Lord boss fight in the Trial of Chaos has had its arena redesigned entirely. Less flying, more attacking. The more significant elite monsters that spawn during the Trial of Chaos are now more dangerous, but more rewarding. Speaking of rewards, you can now also find these chests between each room to get some bonus items for your efforts. And the rewards available when choosing modifiers no longer offer random corrupted items, now exclusively offering only currency items and soul cores. Oh, and we've done a full balance pass on those too, to make them more powerful, alongside adding some new ones to the trial and endgame.
Oh.
Speaking of the trial and endgame, for those looking for a greater challenge, you'll no longer need to have to stop after 10 rooms. you can now continue all the way to Room 30, with the difficulty and rewards escalating as you progress. Combined with the previously mentioned wager modifiers, the rewards of these runs can get very, very juicy. Reaching these later rooms will also allow you to obtain all 3 Trial Master fragments in a single run, giving skilled players a clear and reliable path towards facing the Trial Master rather than leaving their progress entirely to chance. We've
That's
moved the
sick.
functionality of the wager currency mechanic from magic inscribed ultimatums that could drop from the Trial Master into the base mechanic. This can be accessed at the end of every 10th room. Overall, this is a much more polished version of the Trial of Chaos, and we think it addresses many of the concerns players have raised over the past several months. When we introduced the new endgame in Return of the Ancients, we wanted the journey through the fortress to feel epic, and it was.
Yep.
But your first time progressing through it, it is a massive undertaking.
True.
With a fresh economy, we wanted to make the fortress easier to complete. So in 055, we're making some changes. After completing the main questline, you can now just venture out of the fortress and find another Arbiter of Divinity key. By defeating this more difficult version of the boss, all remaining sections of the fortress will be automatically completed.
What? I'm sorry, guys.
Now,
I'm sorry.
onwards to Abyss. We're introducing a new Atlas feature centered around it. We wanted to add more things to find when exploring the Infinite Atlas. So, we've added these new abyssal ravines that can appear. Each map on the ravines has abysses in it, and as you complete each along it, the next map gets more and more rewarding as you push the Abyssal Legion back. When you reach the last map on the ravine, you'll have a guaranteed Abyssal boss encounter. The Forbidden Rites event will not have Runes of Aldo content in each area. But fret not. Pharaoh, Danig, and Expedition content is still going to be available in the Atlas as core, and that includes standard leagues. You can now continue to find expeditions in-game, but from Act 4 onwards. In the endgame, expedition tablets will now be available, allowing for some new levels of investment into the league. Such as having 2 full expeditions in just one area,
Oh.
alongside up to 2 standalone Remnant encounters. With tablet mods, you can now even get many sentries per expedition, resembling an almost sentry minion build as you run around and apply runic modifiers to monsters across the maps. The existing Runes of Aldo League will continue to run, so if you want to keep playing there, finishing your endgame and completing challenges, feel free to do so. So that's all our new content summarized for this Event League and 055 update.
Pretty
In
good.
case you didn't see it alongside Path of Exile 1's release for Curse of the Allflame, here's a reminder to check out our supporter packs and mystery box that release with it, which are now fully available for use in Path of Exile 2 as well.
How about balance?
These include the Plague and Remedis supporter packs, and the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, with some epic items including armor sets, weapon skins, weapon effects, map devices, hideouts, a new tracking scroll, some otters, and much more. If you would like to purchase the Curse of the Allflame mystery box, it's available now through the in-game shop and Path of Exile 2 website. For more information, head to pathofexile2.com/mystery box for all the details. We'll also be releasing some cool new armor sets and skill effects alongside this release. Check these out. If you're interested, keep an eye out on the store with the new release. Thanks for your support.
I thought those were ascendancies.
Now,
Those look
we
so
had
sick.
originally thought we were going to deploy a much larger balance pass in this patch. But unfortunately, with all the other work going on for our 1.0 release, we were not able to get these changes ready in time. It's been a lot more work than we expected. So rather than deploy something substandard, we decided it would be better to take our time with the balance changes and just release the Event League anyway. All those balance changes that were slated for 055 will now be happening in 1.0 instead. The full release patch is shaping up to be a huge one, and if you haven't done so yet, you can acquire exclusive milestone rewards just by signing up at pathofexile2.com for the 1.0 full release. Also, we hope you join us for ExileCon on November 7th New Zealand time to see what else we've been cooking up. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy the Forbidden Rites event, which starts at the end of next week. See you in Rayclast. We're just about to start the Q&A with ZiggyD, so get your questions ready.
Hey guys, I am very sad that there's no changes, I'm not gonna lie. Very cool Event League, I'm gonna play it. Awesome changes to the Trial of Chaos. That sucks. I gotta call it. That really sucks, actually. Wow. Dang. That is a. My stomach dropped. I'm gonna sound like a very negative person right now, but that sucks. No balance changes at all? None? 1.0 comes out December 11th. They got new challenges. Oh, he's
G'day
here.
and welcome back, Exiles. I'm joining you from around the world. I am ZiggyD in Australia. We've got Jonathan over at Gamescom, and we've got Mark in New Zealand. So we're all over the place this time, coming at you remotely for some Q&A to talk about what we saw with the Duelist today, the 0.55 event update, and various other little questions that you might have in a bit of a mini Q&A session. Thanks for joining us from all over the place, folks. Jonathan, you're at Gamescom at the moment, where some lucky folks are able to actually play the Duelist. How's it been going?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's honestly been great. It's really good to see players just being able to play and experience the game. It's always fun. But my voice is actually a bit screwed right now because I've been kind of yelling over the loudness of the Gamescom. Trying to explain complicated Duelist mechanics, in yelling form. So my voice is a bit messed up. So hopefully you guys can forgive that. But it's always fun talking to to players and journalists and seeing what they think.
Yeah, have you been able to get some good kind of in-person feedback there, since you're right there with people as they're playing?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's great. We've also got Kevin, who's been one of the designers, doing working on the Duelist as well. He's been able to get direct feedback, talk to players as well. It's been really good.
Awesome. And Mark, you're over in New Zealand, where you were just working on the endgame builds that you showcased in that video there, which were pretty spicy. How are things going over there in the studio?
Well, I'm at home right now, but it's been pretty hectic. Just putting it always is for these deadlines, just pulling everything together. But these in-game builds we just had to put together in the last, honestly, it felt like the last week really is when I was like, okay, we've got to theory craft some epic shit. Let's put it together. And came up with, I said made by developers. Technically that is true, but I kind of theory crafted both of them and was like, let's get cranking. And they both seemed pretty fun. I mean, they were definitely fun to play. Hopefully they were fun to watch, but there's a lot more as well. So there's good dozen builds I had in mind, and I was like, we were going to go with them, and we're going down a whole bunch of different paths, and it just kind of ended up, I was like, I want to do something traditional that uses a bunch of swords and something demonic, because why not? So it was quite interesting that I ultimately just got to pick a fantasy and then make it happen. But of course, the difference between me making builds and players making builds is you have to make a build with what works, whereas I make the build and then I'm like, go and make it happen, development team. Thank you. So
change the balance until it works, basically.
Yeah.
Make this a thing. Well, you certainly have a lot to work there with the Duelist. There is a lot going on there. I know, Jonathan, you personally were just telling me earlier that you're very excited for the Duelist in particular, and that it's the most fun that you've had with the game so far, or something to that effect.
Absolutely. I really love this class. I really love melee combat in games. It's something that I really enjoy. And this one really, honestly, I would say finally kind of delivers something that I would say is peak melee in an ARPG. I honestly really love it. But also just there's so many intricacies to the skill design in this class that's really interesting. I don't think we've ever sort of woven so many different ways to kind of do mechanics with all the different with all the different skills. Every skill is designing 3 or 4 skills, honestly, just due to all the different ways that you can use them. But at the same time, it's it's all quite diegetic, by which I mean you kind of there's metal in the ground, you electrify it, and now it's zapping things and things it's all kind of obvious in some ways, but also kind of complicated too, because there's just so many ways you can use everything.
There's a ton of nuance to it, but even so, I had a chance to play it last time I was visiting, like a couple months back, and there's some sort of intuitiveness to how the skills end up working together, where you can almost play without reading some of those descriptions. I think, which is good because there's a lot of descriptions you did have to write for those, given the
It's kind of
complexity level there.
it's actually kind of interesting in the studio because the people who are more, I guess, stat focused are actually the ones that feel the class is more complicated and the ones who just like take it as they see it. Because if you look at the number of stat sets, it is kind of crazy because you'll have like, it's like you've got a buried blade explosion, and then you've got to be like, okay, then buried blade when it's got electricity, and then buried blade explosion with electricity, with electricity, right? Or versus just the electrical hits, and it just ends up being like half a dozen stat sets on every skill that you, which is what we call the different tabs that you see on the skill gem. So if your first experience of the game is like looking at the skill gem hovers and like looking at every single stat set, then you're not necessarily in for as good of a time as if you just like try out the skill and see what it does. I guess that's sort of quite different than what a lot of our skills have been like in the past. But I honestly really love it just because there's so many interesting ways to use the skills.
With this, just having such an extensive set of like skill interactions compared to anything you've had so far, how challenging is designing this one and getting it to work and be playable in that way, being, say, compared to the Huntress and the Druid?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is one of the hardest classes to design, and a lot of it was like, okay, swords are pretty much the most generic weapon ever, right? And you ask like 10 different people what a sword does, and they'll give you 10 different answers. Like there are certain fantasies, and we kind of had to make sure we were delivering like pretty much anyone's fantasy of a sword, and there's like quite a few different ones, right? So, that you have to go through. But I think the kind of like thing that ties it all together is that to me, swords are about like the kind of that flow feeling. That's what I kind of wanted to nail. And that's where the whole sort of ready stance thing kind of came from. So it took a lot of iteration to get there. I went through so many different designs of the way that swords could work. And eventually it's funny because the whole blood and sand thing wasn't even part of the initial design. And at some point I realized that some of the stuff that we were designing was coming kind of close to that. And I'm like, oh yeah, hang on. In PoE 1, we've got this blood and sand theme. What if we actually took that and like effectively used that theme on top of some of the mechanics we were designing? And then it all kind of really rapidly came together after that. Like we suddenly realized like, yeah, this is sort of the feel, like the theme of like physical stuff that we can go with for the Duelist. And it ended up working really well. So I'm really happy with the way that ended up.
Yeah, the stance thing in particular, I remember when I was trying it, like, and you're talking about flow and how important that was. And I remember I was having an issue where I really wanted to get into ready stance and then move to the next monster to execute my next skill.
Right.
But that would break ready stance. But I noticed that that's something that you've solved in the new iterations. You've got this way that can even carry through now.
Yeah, so since you played that, we added the idea that there are some skills that you can use without breaking ready stance, and in particular, the rending dash that you can use to sort of dash from one place to another. Having that be an option that you can do without breaking ready stance sort of allows for that repositioning that you can do, and it honestly speeds up quite a lot what you can do. I didn't use it that much in the demo that I was showing, but for actual like practical play, I highly recommend using it because if you're someone who likes to zoom around, then using that skill can really add quite a lot to what you're doing.
I think people are probably a little bit confused in general about like the ready stance and the blood and sand as well. So how do those just effectively work ultimately?
Yeah.
It is.
So fundamentally what you've got here is that there are two different, at least two that we showed, ready stance skills. One of them kind of moves backwards as more defensive, and that's the sand one. If you stun a monster with that, then it's going to put you in sand stance. The other one is moving forward, more aggressive, and that one, if you hit a parried monster, it's going to put you in blood stance. So if you're into the sort of parry gameplay early on, then blood is the one for you. If you're more into, if you're not into that, then using the sand one is like more your style. Then you can go that way. But all of it is bypassable with frenzy charges as well. So one of the questions that we often get is like, what if I don't want to parry? What if I don't want to do the stun stuff? And frenzy charges effectively act as your bypass. So as Mark showed in one of those builds there, combat frenzy is like a good way to be able to kind of like, get those stances without that. But there's even other ways as well. So there's also support gems that allow you to get blood and sand without having to even do either of those skills as well. And like quite a few different options. Like there are actually a huge number of different options. That
got a couple
really
uniques as well. We've got at least one sand stance unique and one blood stance unique right now that weren't shown.
And then there's also the thing of getting blood on the ground as a way to get blood on things like Cyclone. I actually didn't realize this was going to happen, but in one of my demos, I had one of those vampire monsters from Act 1, and it's like, use one of those blood pools on the ground, and that actually triggered the blood. And I had no idea that we actually had done that even. Like, I didn't realize that those blood pools technically were the same mechanic. So yeah, you can like get blood-coated Cyclone from just playing against one of those vampire monsters.
Well, that sort of touches on one of my other questions then. So, like, some people, I think, especially people who maybe just played a little bit of parry when Huntress first came out, and obviously since then it's changed quite a bit. About parry, some people are definitely worried about parry. Like, they see that as like a negative for a class to be focused on that because of the bad experience they might have had with it or something. So, how has parry changed or been improved here, and also how like mandatory is it for the Duelist playstyle there?
Well, certainly we didn't want it to be mandatory because that was one of those things we did with the Huntress where parry was really important for that class initially, and we wanted to make sure that it wasn't here. That being said, it is a Duelist. I want parry to be a thing for it, so like, you know, we did want at least one of the archetypes to involve that. But at the same time, one of the big issues that we've had with parry, kind of two things really. Like it just comes down to unreliability. So there's a new change that we've just implemented for parry, which was actually quite complicated to do, and it's a little bit complicated to explain as well. But effectively, what we've done is we've made it so that when you're parrying, your character is effectively enlarged against skills that are parryable. So that means that you'd kind of have this problem before where you'd feel like you would try to parry something, and it looked like the monster would kind of hit you, but it just didn't. And that was happening all the time, and like one of the frustrating things about parry. So what we've done is now that we've made this change, it means that monsters hit you much more reliably when you're parrying, and so it just makes the whole thing a lot better. But the other issue that we had as well is just boss fights. Like some boss fights just don't really have a lot of parryable attacks, and that's where the shield thing comes in. We can do the shield bash to allow you to parry a monster even when they're not attacking you. So that one's kind of like, it also can be used during clearing as well. But I sort of saw that as fixing like the boss fight problem of like, yeah, just some bosses just don't have abilities that easy parry. So it makes the whole thing a lot more reliable in any context right there. So both of those changes together really do improve the feel quite a lot compared to what we had before. And honestly, like, I mean, I love to parry personally, but as I said, even with that said, we know it's not for everyone, so we wanted to make sure there's other options too.
Yeah, that shield, the buckler shield bash parry was super satisfying when I was messing around with that. So
it is one of those things that's so hard to explain to people though, because where do you even put the tutorial for that? Like it's just kind of like an extra thing on your native skill that you've got, like, you know, just the shield that you've got right from the beginning. You know, normally people don't look at the videos for like the base skills like that. Like technically there are videos for it. If you go to the alt menu, you can get to it. But yeah, like nobody's really digging into there and looking for that. So it's kind of hard to find where to explain that. But I guess anyone who listens to this live stream will know about it. And hopefully that'll slowly make its way through the community.
I was going to ask, because like, I didn't even know about that until you told me about it later. What were you saying?
Yeah.
A couple more parry things there for a bit later as well. We have a, not that I'm trying to spoil everything. We have a new reservation skill codenamed Arcane Parry right now, which is effectively, it charges up, and then when you parry, it does a much more significant shockwave comes out of you, just to like allow for a lot more area of effect coverage.
And that means that all those monsters get parried as well, by the way. So the point of this is to effectively make it so that, like, we had this thing before where there was a period there where parry was like, you had a really, really huge range. And it was good for endgame, and but we didn't really like that it was so non-physical. So by adding like this kind of like effect to it and actually making it into a mechanic that you can do with a spirit reservation, now it becomes a thing that we can much more readily accept, and it is a good way to actually make parry viable in endgame as well, by just making it hit like a much larger area.
That parry fix where you're enlarged, is that in 0.55 or is that a 1.0 alongside Duelist change?
It's probably in 1.0, I would imagine.
1.0.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it'll be 1.0.
All right. What were you saying?
But yeah, we also have a new unique helmet coming, which causes your war cries to parry enemies.
What?
And then
That's cool.
In the full radius. And we also have we're currently trying, we're hoping we can get this, but just so that if people want to play two-handed sword and want to still engage with it, we're trying a two-handed sword base type that grants parry, and you can parry with that. So that'll be a very specific base type.
I'm excited about that.
Base type.
Yeah.
I was definitely a little sad to see that you couldn't parry with the two-hander, but I kind of get not wanting them all to be the same. So having the differences there, because so you can parry with the dual wield swords, which is obviously a unique thing to swords, and you can parry with the buckler, all the armor evasion shield bases, right? Like the other ones as well. So you've got the parry with those, but that lets you a unique two-handed sword parry. That's pretty cool. I mean, it does make more work for yourselves. That means even more animations, right? You have to make a two-handed parry animation now.
Sure.
Just for that.
Sure. but it's fine. It's fine.
Fine. It's fine.
I was going to ask about the animations actually, because these are definitely some of the cooler animations that we've seen so far, and also just
They
in
definitely
general,
are.
like some of the coolest sword animations I've seen in any game. Even noticing
yeah.
like some real kind of like authentic aspects to some of the movements and stuff. Like obviously it's over the top, like giant sword slams and stuff, but some of the like movements in like say the Cyclone and the way the swords twist around and the swords are handled and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, there's someone knows sword
I mean,
stuff on your team.
Ed has done a phenomenal job, not only of the animation itself, but also just researching stuff. And I actually had someone at Gamescom, like a journalist, say to me that they actually know how to, they've used a sword and done some like, blade practice. And the first thing he said to me was, oh, like, how did you like hire anyone to like advise about this? And it's like, no, one of our animators just really interested in this stuff. And what they do is he's got like a weighted, sort of weighted plastic blade that he's got in the studio, and he can film video reference of himself like doing things and sort of get some of that to get video of it that he can use to kind of work out how to do the movements. But he's just really interested in all of this kind of stuff, and he does a lot of research, like watching YouTube videos of actual people like doing this stuff, and it's resulted in like just a really amazing looking set of animations. Like honestly some of the best animation work we've done.
Yeah, I would have believed if you had said like, oh yeah, we had some Heba guy came in, we mocapped them or something. So that's really impressive work. So some great stuff. Yeah, it looks super wicked. But at the same time, like you've also not been afraid to go a bit over the top there. One of the press images with a gigantic anime.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some level of anime inspiration if you're talking about swords for certain things. Like as I said before, like everyone's got different fantasies about what being a swordsman means, and the sort of anime sword thing is definitely one of those. So we kind of had to have it.
Yeah, you've tried to touch on all of those. You definitely got that dash in kind of nothing personal anime thing where they slice and then fall apart afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure if we even showed that in the video really, but we actually have some new tech now where all the monsters are capable of being sliced into pieces. So it actually works like all the monsters are being like split up, and then we can. It's actually a mechanic. You know what? Actually, one of the in-game builds had it, didn't it? Where you slice monsters up. And then we've even got mechanics to take advantage of that, like the one that makes so that some of the chunks explode after they get sliced up. Yeah, so it's an actual thing now. We kind of originally did it just as a visual cool thing, but we turned an actual game mechanic as well now, so that's kind of interesting too.
I had the meat chunks on bleed. I think we're calling them meat chunks internally. Meat chunks on bleed, but I didn't have the meat chunks on slice and dice or whatever.
Right, okay, you didn't know that.
No, that's a different build.
Right.
All up, I know that this has been a pretty challenging class to showcase, and it's something we chatted about quite a bit, how you wanted to like show, the campaign and the end game. And I think like having both of those here in this showcase has been really good for people so they can see and have like kind of like that full picture. Obviously, wanted the slower technical stuff to show like how the animations work, how the interactions work, and then you wanted the end game to show like what people can aspire to. But how well do you think overall that you've been managed to communicate the Duelist here? Because I feel like it's a hard thing to nail down without actually playing it.
Mostly because like you can see the fluidity sort of, but you don't really know how it feels. So I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why we're so keen to demonstrate it at Gamescom, so a bunch of people can get their hands on it. Honestly, it's just been really good. Like a lot of people really enjoyed it. So I think I was a little bit worried, right? Because like I was worried, like will people understand ready stance and so on. And we were so worried about it. We're like, okay, we need to have some like signs up that explain ready stance. We need to make sure there's a tutorial in this Gamescom build that we've got for this, just for that to make sure it works. And if all else fails, we've got Kevin who can just walk around and tell people if they're not doing it. That's the just like really certain that everyone understands the mechanic. But like honestly, once you feel it, once you feel the flow, it totally makes sense. And honestly, even like some of the design meetings I'll have, I'm just like sitting there just like doing ready stance attacks. I'm like, I'll sometimes just like lose track of time just sitting there like doing it. It's just so fun to actually do. I really enjoy that part.
So those endgame builds look very spicy. I know a fear was that like some people would feel that swords were too weak or too slow because you were showing just that early campaign side of things. But if anything, after seeing like those endgame builds, I'm wondering like almost the opposite. Is like, is there a risk here that like the endgame power level of players has just become so high that opportunities to enjoy some of that deeper gameplay is becoming like too far and like too few and far?
It is a potential concern for sure. Balance will be tricky, I suspect, to get right. All those things you saw, like the current balance, but maybe Mark, you've got some more theories about that.
those
Good question,
those
Ziggy.
builds when they were getting filmed, I was like, they're just too strong. They're too strong. And I think even Jonathan, you had some feedback. You're like, just make them a little bit weaker. Like you don't need to one hit literally everything. And I was like, we're already filming these in tier 25 map equivalents with like
There was a problem at one point like that.
Unassembly. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, they're just there's some obviously though, we're like putting together a class for demonstration purposes for like a convention and to put together these builds. Like obviously we still have some more work to do with respect to that balance kind of side of things, but it's definitely very, very powerful right now. Some of that dust has to calm down, but that's okay. You know, we'll get there. These things take a lot of time to iterate on, and of course, we have till December 11th to do that. So I'm not concerned about the amount of time. In fact, we've never had a class this ready with this much time, so that's a good thing. But yeah, it means we can make even more builds, get even more ready, have the balance be ideally in the best spot. Hopefully players will agree, but we'll see. But yeah, definitely I would say right now it is too OP for sure. Like it's I mean, I've played through the campaign a whole bunch of times on it, and I'm just like, you know, I shouldn't be this powerful. Like comparatively with everything else. Like I get that people at Gamescom might not have the same kind of, because like that's you're starting in Act 5, you're on a pre-made character. What is the gear even like? It's like not necessarily optimized and all of that. So, you know, people there are probably going to have a different experience. But you know, what you see is very strong.
Also,
but again, and that is filmed in. I understand tier 25 map. What does that mean? We have obviously we can just set the levels of any area. That is a tier 25 map equivalent of filming for those in-game builds. So yes, there are some power concerns, but it's again with this much time, it should be pretty easy to deal with it. It's nothing new really.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like way earlier than you've ever been able to showcase class. So getting that hands-on in the public, it gives you lots of time to make those tweaks and see all those points that people are like, oh, people keep missing this detail. as you're going around and being like, oh, you can do that. You'll get to kind of learn where those pain points potentially are. Mark, I noticed a Bejeweled implicit on Oro's sacrifice. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, okay. I've mentioned a few cool base types. So we just to clarify, there was the two-handed sword with readied stance. With parry, right? And these are base types. So we've put a lot of effort into making the base types of swords real like epic. And honestly, I want to then propagate it to every other weapon type. To be honest, so we've got, just to clarify before we get to Bejeweled, we've had. Parry two-handed sword. We showed a base parry duration one-handed sword. What was the other one we showed? Two-hander. There was the buried blades are ancestrally boosted that we showed in that video. And then Oro Sacrifice has Bejeweled, which is the base type property of the Twilight Longsword, I believe it's called. And it just means that item comes with a dual socket instead of regular sockets. So it's not necessarily better, but it's sort of interesting, and it's trying to just create a bunch of different things with all the different base types where, that whole suite of them that will drop at end game. So currently, like a lot of weapons, you probably get like 5 base types at end game, maybe 6. Pretty much the entire sword line will have a end game counterpart with all the implicits, just because we've put a lot of cool stuff there. And you do still have your traditional, here's the one that's high attack speed, here's the one that's got some crit, here's the one that's just the bonk damage and all of that. But then all the others we've tried to make sure have really special implicits, and that includes the base type of Oro Sacrifice. So yeah, hopefully people enjoy it and think it's cool, but I definitely was pretty excited about it. And honestly, I find now the base type itself like has some build enabling properties, which I would say hasn't really happened before. So I'm excited to see having that extra axis of like, damn, what sword do I want to use? There's like 3 or 4 options here. I don't know what to do. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I love these bases with like weird implicits that do interesting things like that. So I hope that is something you propagate out to the rest of the game there. Love it. let's talk about what's coming up in the nearer future for people to get their hands on with.
Yeah.
But first, you did mention that you were hoping originally to get a big balance pass in 0.055 in the lead up to launch, but now the bulk of that at least is being pushed until launch. Is there some stuff that you feel like you really want to get in before then, though? Is there anything that you do want to get into 0.55 potentially?
Well, want to and realistically possible are the two things that are at clash here. I wanted to get all of it in. It just wasn't coming together in a way that wasn't just going to. Like, the things with this is you can't like half-ass it and deploy it. If you remove all of X and don't do all of Y, it's just like, okay, why did you just remove all of that? I don't understand. And we weren't just able to bring those packages of changes together, especially while we've got a whole new class in development, getting fully balanced and prepared. And that made it even twice as hard because, as Jonathan's mentioned in the past, and we've talked about, every single time we make a new class, we end up changing every system under the sun. And then we want some of those in and some of those not in. And it was just this giant ruckus it's like a kind of just massive writhing changes everywhere. And it was so hard.
Literally just merging the changes was a disaster. Like, just like picking the things, like the commits, like, do these ones go in, do those ones not go in? Like, we're in the middle of doing like a massive bleed revamp in order to do the Duelist, and yet we also want to try to somehow, like, what parts of that need to go in and what parts don't. And, you know, like, it's just like such a crazy puzzle. And we are at the point where literally, like, our producers were like, we don't know if we can make a build of this, of like what you want. Like, we've got a bunch of changes. We don't think we can even create a build that works in the timeline that we need it to be. So yeah, it was challenging even on that level. But not only that, there was the issue of just like more changes were needed, like more things needed to actually happen as well.
For example, to support echoing strikes, we had to make it, we effectively refactored our entire cloning system, which kind of touched on every single skill in the game. And it's like, okay, well, we don't want that because it's untested, has a bunch of ramifications and stuff we still need to iterate on. Yet now any change we have to make to every single skill now has a conflict when we're trying to merge it to the actual build. And honestly, it was just turning into an absolute disaster. And it was like, okay, this just isn't going to be ready, and we're just going to have to keep delaying it, and to the point where, like, what are we even going to get here? And yeah, it just wasn't really feasible, honestly, and it was causing us, I mean, honestly, I would say that working around all of that was making everything take significantly longer. And then all of a sudden now we're getting less done because we're having to work around that, and it was just not coming together. And it is sad, and I am real gutted about it because there's a lot of like real cool stuff there. We have ascendancy class reworks. We have you know, many new uniques, reworked uniques. We have just stuff everywhere, and I was like, man, this stuff is cool. And I was even just describing it all to Jonathan and how excited I was about it. And I was like, no, I want it all in there, but it just honestly wasn't production-wise feasible at all. So it's sad.
Go ahead.
It is more for 1.0 though, so that's always good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with it being such like a eldritch horror of interconnected balance changes there, are you worried about putting it out at 1.0 then? Because that was like
no, because the difference is that when we're making like an 0.55 patch, what we're doing is we're taking changes from our kind of like development version, we're merging them in. But when we're going to make a entirely new release, that's what's called a retag. We effectively like take everything that we have on our development version, and it's all going to go live. So there's not like this kind of same production hell that you get when you're trying to like make a build out of parts from.
I think he means from the testability sake, maybe.
Well, I'm sure, I guess so. I mean, there's always that, but you know, I mean, look, 1.0 is going to get a hell of a lot of testing. You know, like obviously, you know, there's a lot of stuff to do there. So our QA team will be all over that.
We got more time now to make sure it's right as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Since most of the balance changes are being deferred to 1.0, I won't like dive into too many of the balance related questions at this point, since it's all still obviously quite a ways away. But one of the things we did discuss was the plus levels side of things, and that is probably the one that came up the most. And I know you guys said in the past that you were reviewing some changes in 0.5 from that to see how that they landed. But it does seem like plus levels are still seen as quite a bit of a problem, crowding out uniques and increasing inavailability in some cases as well with some of the stuff from the Runes of Aldor. So how are you feeling about plus level balance overall at this point now, or moving forwards towards 1.0? Is that on your radar there?
It is still on the radar, yes. I haven't actually done the changes for it yet, and I don't 100% know exactly what to do, but I mean, we've had probably 15 discussions about it now, so it's one of those, it's turning into the next dexterity for sure. And we'll see.
Oh.
We'll end up somewhere for sure. I just don't know exactly what that is right now, but it's the second on the spreadsheet. There's like a spreadsheet called Mark to do something, and it's the second one. So it's the
what's number one out of interest?
We're having another balance meeting today to discuss it. So what is number one? It's probably just whatever I added last. Number one is reserved for this hasn't been sorted in the list yet.
Okay.
Because I just insert at the top of the sheet when I add stuff. So and then it gets reprioritized.
But that one stays at number 2. I see. Okay. Have you guys discussed like some of the things being kicked around? I've seen like, I don't know what's a good solution and what's not and for what reasons here, but have you discussed like, maybe like level 30 is the cap that you can reach for gems, or limiting the amount you can get there? Or is it more of something you're looking at, it's maybe just about getting the numbers right, like we just want to bring those down to certain levels? Where do you kind of feel it is?
Caps there is a cap, but yes, caps have been discussed. I think the important thing we want to do is not kill. Well, honestly, I would say there is a few problems with like caster itemization, and I want to make sure that we don't just take away that itemization. Even very early in the game, caster itemization isn't as good as it could be. But it's really hard when you're dealing with fundamental mod pools. Like even early game runes are not as impactful, obviously, for casters, right? Where you get like flat damage ones for attackers and casters don't, and it propagates all the way through. And I get that some of the leagues have added some, breach caster items, for example, have added some in-game itemization, but there is a more fundamental problem here for sure. So I just don't want to make the itemization for casters worse. Let's make it really. That's honestly how it is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with there then.
I get that it extends further than just casters, but like that's the main thing of not wanting to ruin.
There's almost 2 separate discussions there.
Everyone has a different perception of like, what is good itemization or not. I'm talking about just generally what we believe to be good itemization, as opposed to
I don't necessarily see an inherent problem with plus levels. I think it's just that the power level of it and its availability is high to the point where it does crowd out other item choices. So it feels like you're, if it's not that, then it's not worth using effectively.
We definitely have a thing right now where every single caster unique that gets made, it's like doesn't have plus gem levels, sucks. And
1 out.
Even with all of the new uniques we've been making, it's like you kind of want to default to be like, this needs +4, this needs +6, this needs plus, and it's like, do we really have to put this on literally everything?
Yeah,
but to compare, like, in the same way that you're making when you're making a weapon, like generally you can't just be like, nah, I'm not going to put any damage mods on it. So like a martial weapon. So it just doesn't feel quite the same. And I do understand why. I've discussed that before, but anyway, we'll see what happens, but we will do something.
All right. So the Forbidden Rites event, so just to clarify for folks, this being an event is different to a regular expansion. It's a different thing entirely. It's not a league and an expansion in that same way. So what of the changes that you talked about are specific to this Forbidden Rites event versus core game changes here as well?
So this is our first time ever that we've had a league be both running and core. And we just noticed there was a lot of people still playing Runes of Aldor. We didn't want to end it. So we wanted to keep that running. So we've had to do a large number of hacks to both support something being core and not. But
it's weird.
The tablets are for the event and standard league. So because the league is in every area in Runes of Aldor, you don't get tablets to further it. What else have we changed there? I mean, you don't get remnants in every area during the event, but you can once you start using tablets, and it's
Okay,
it's honestly for those who've obviously played leagues and seen leagues go core, or people who played our previous leagues for PoE2, like Fate of the Val, and then the temple became core. Ultimately, it should feel like all the content from Runes of Elder is now in its core state while you're playing in the event and standard leagues. And if you continue to play Runes of Elder, you should notice no difference. That's pretty much it. We have made some changes, like obviously it's not introduced now until, so currently in the Forbidden Rites event, the content, the characters aren't introduced until Act 4 when you're doing the quest in Act 4. So you won't see any through Act 1, 2, and 3. What else is different there? I think the only other thing we may have, I'm pretty sure we changed it, is, which I don't know how people are going to respond to this one, but we've removed from the Forbidden Rites and Standard League, so it's not in the current Runes of Elder, it didn't want to affect the economy, but Elder Saga, the mods from it are now in the core mod pool of what can generate on logbooks, as opposed to requiring that item. You'll have to determine the rarity yourself. And then we've replaced that outcome from the Remnant encounters, just so that the entirety of the end game for that isn't just Elder's Sagaing, and that's it.
Awesome. Good stuff. The ritual, speaking of like the end game here for the league, for the new league, the event, the Sacred Bloom from the rituals that lets you add the Sacred Wildwood to maps. How rare are these roughly? Is that something we can be applying to every decent map, or just kind of the most juiced ones because it's like going to be rare and valuable? It's a big thing, being able to get the Wildwood.
It's about 1 in 5 maps to get one about, but
Okay.
give or take. So yeah, you're not going to run it every map, but of course it's tradable. So
yeah,
feel free to just go ahead and buy them. So yeah, I don't know. I think that was a pretty decent rate, but we may still iterate on that.
That seems like the sort of thing you could easily like afford to run fairly frequently then. With that being the case, back in when we had this before in Affliction League, it was probably the most insane juicing thing we've ever had. So both in terms of difficulty and reward, which is really cool for a number of reasons. Like obviously people like big loot explosions, but also you could make like the hardest monsters of all time outside of like, deepest of delves. Is this potentially going to be a similarly spicy thing for Path of Exile 2?
It's obviously pretty hard to compare the drops because it's just an entirely different drop ecosystem. Like, are you going to be having to hover and identify 100 heavy belts in every map? Probably not, but for those who, that is my strict memory of Affliction, is like, I am so sick of looking at heavy belts on the ground.
Yep.
I think they actually got 2 mirrors in that league as well, which I feel like shouldn't happen, but maybe even more than
crazy. I've only ever got one in more.
Yes, I have equal memories of Affliction. Don't worry about that. But the way that the wisps scale the monsters is a bit different anyway. So instead of just rarity, PoE1 did rarity, quantity, and chance for items to be currency, I believe it was. Instead, here what we've done is blue wisps turn monsters magic. Normal monsters magic, yellow wisps add mods to rare monsters, and purple wisps add rarity to everything. So purple, magenta, so if you're stacking rare monsters, obviously yellow and purple is the right combination to get. So are you going to expect the same levels of juice? Hard to say. It should definitely be a good alternate way to juice in-game maps compared to, say, something like Delirium right now. And of course, though, you can stack both of them. So, to some degree, of course, because they both get better with tablets, so they are contesting with one another. But you can just run both and stack it with everything else that is in the in-game currently. So, should be pretty out there, pretty crazy.
Right on. Rapid fire. The Trial of Chaos was The changes there look amazing. It was one of my least favorite parts of the game. So those changes, there's huge sort of improvements there. I love to see that. Is Sekima's likely to get a similar treatment in some way on the way to 0.1.0? It's not as bad in my opinion, but still be good to see.
It is in terms of content, that existing content that needs improving. It is the next, like as an actual, like in content, not like character side or balance or anything. It is the next thing on our list that is the worst thing.
The next worst.
So yes, we definitely want to, but obviously lot to do for the end of the year. So we'll have to see if we can fit it in, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like if not, I would say if not for release, then you'd look at it for 1.1 kind of territory for sure. But honestly, the changes we made to Trial of Chaos are like it's so much better. Like
Yeah, it seems so.
my god. And it should never have been in that state. Like I was writing and reading all the patch notes, and I was just like, we should never have had to write this. This should not have ever needed to have been a patch note. This is like horrendous. And I'm sure when we get through Trial of Sekimas, we're going to have a similar situation going on. So it's not as bad. At least there's like a kind of strategy there to some degree, and ways to make money, and divines. But yeah, it needs a substantial amount of love for sure.
Awesome. Good to hear it then. So a few more rapid fires on the end game. The challenge level of end game caps out pretty early currently. That's good for build diversity, honestly. But it does mean that there are some limited options for like testing your more powerful characters. Uber bosses and more challenging like end game content. That's something on that's the radar for maybe for 1.0 or something.
I don't want to commit to like higher tiers of boss content and difficulty to too much of a degree, especially with respect to Uber bosses, until we have the character balance in the right spot. And in theory, 1.0 should have them in the right spot. But you know how balance goes with these things, with live service products in particular. And similar to PoE 1, right? It's every single league we have balance changes. So it's one of those infinite tasks. That being said, I definitely don't want to add Uber boss content until we've felt like that's in a stable spot for sure. I actually went out of my way to play a number of kind of atrocious builds this league. Just like I picked literally the worst thing, the things that were being played the least, and I played them. And honestly, fighting those pinnacles with those characters was insanely difficult. And I was like, if we were to add content beyond this, it's just impossible.
But
it's
how many
just
people
not
are
going to
playing
even
those
be possible.
characters? That's my question.
It was actually like, and I played a good character as well, and I was just like, okay, we need to, we've got some work to do here before we go and create a bunch of content that a bunch of players will literally never be able to even achieve, even if they did everything right. Because the character balance is the low end is just not in the right spot at all. And honestly, the very, very top end, the top 1% kind of builds is not in the right spot either. So
should the
once we get that,
1%
I'm hoping to be able to
builds
actually start,
the hardest
thinking about it.
content in the
But I
game?
mean, the Wildwood will go towards making things harder. So
I'm not even a blaster.
Some juice
I'm
and
not
potential
even a
there.
blaster.
There's been a few questions about the state of tablets, focusing on tablet management, trading, rolling them, the work that kind of goes into getting the modifiers that you want for your in-game farming strategies. You get it compared to things like scarabs, which have those set effects. So they've got that double whammy of like random modifiers and the limited uses. What do you like or not like about current tablet design? Is this something you're thinking about at all, or is this kind of the first time you've heard that brought up? How are you guys feeling about tablets overall there?
We've actually discussed it pretty in depth recently when talking about PoE 1 with respect to like the current state of endgame there, and talking about all of the changes we want to make around there and how it compares to PoE 2 and what parts do we like and not like. Personally, I really like the tablet, the mod rolling side of things. And what we've found is generally over time, there is at least an audience that are more aligned towards wanting determinism, and thus the mod rolling can get phased out. And I actually think that this has been a big part of the discussion where we're looking at this. I feel like by adding more determinism and removing these like random axes, the strategies end up becoming quite dull and then have to just be balanced around that determinism, and then they get neutered, and then you've just lost kind of everything because everything is all equal and everything's all balanced. And it's had that effect. Like, definitely it's had that effect as to where the fine line is between the kind of mod rolling and the determinism. I'd say that it's something we still have to kind of figure out, but I'm quite happy with how that is right now, where there's like some crazy stuff you can do, but it requires specific tablets with specific mods. And so, yeah, I immediately I caught us. We were actually doing this for 055. I was like, all of a sudden I saw a bunch of the really spike modifiers getting kind of like people pushing to nerf this, nerf that, get this in line with the rest of the content. And I was like, let's not do that right now. I think there's one or two that like, okay, I understand the beyond reason, but I was like, let's pull back some of that because I want to actually reevaluate how much power you should be able to get out of these random modifiers as opposed to things that are just baseline always on. So yeah, there's still some evaluation to do there, but personally, I'm quite happy with it. I love that you get some tablets that are out of control and cause you to have, well, my recent demonstration, an army of sentinels or sentries following you around, adding runes to everything. We have some crazy stuff with the Expedition. I mean, the Expedition tablet mod is actually a lot larger and has a lot more spike stuff at the top. So I'm actually quite curious to see how people feel about that in the Forbidden Rights, to see how that plays as well. We've tried to make sure that mod pool is larger than the other tablet mod pools to see if that is a something people resonate well with or not well with as well. So yeah, you can. Okay. Anyway, my point being, like, we're still discussing it, and we're still kind of testing some stuff with the tablets, and Forbidden Rights will reveal some of that. But ultimately, personally, I'm pretty happy with where it sits overall.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear it's in discussion then. One thing I saw that was like maybe an easy win was to get bookmarks in for the in-game trade, because I think people use that for convenience when trying to trade this stuff, and being able to set those up and bookmark those would be pretty sweet.
Pretty sure that is a thing.
Oh.
So
yeah,
we have we have favorite trades and recent trades as two things that are internally, as of yesterday, implemented on PoE2.
Oh hell yeah! Awesome.
I think it was on gamepad and or console, and now it's on keyboard mouse as of yesterday internally, and that we should be able to get that into 055.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. Easy win. Good to hear. Well, cool. I will let you folks go, and we've got a race to prepare for. To hop over to here in just a moment. Looking forward to casting out. It's the grand final of the qualifiers. Yeah. It's going to be a spicy one for sure. So thanks very much for joining me, Mark and Jonathan, for the Q&A here once again, and best of luck with the rest of the
Thank you very much for hosting. It's always a pleasure to have you to ask the questions. And hopefully, you guys enjoy the Duelist when you finally get to play it.
Yes,
on December the 11th when the game comes out.
December 11th.
Look forward to seeing what you.
All right, guys. All right. What do you guys think? I'm gonna give my thoughts on the reveal right here. I'm gonna talk about 055 first. It's sad. It's sad. There's no balance changes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still gonna play it. You know, I don't know what else to say besides that. They are the developers. They made the call that they couldn't push the changes. It is unfortunate that 055, they said, hey, we're going to put a bunch of balance changes between now and 1.0. We're going to have lots of changes to ascendancies. There might even be new ascendancies, new unique items, changing it, blah, 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 blah. It was an overpromise, under-deliver thing. It sucks. It sucks that it happened, but, you know, they're saving it for 1.0. Hopefully 1.0 isn't a disaster. I'm glad they're putting the league out regardless, even though 055 was supposed to be a league dedicated to balances. I'm going to play it. I like the challenge rewards. I like the Trial of Chaos. Actually looks like it might be fun now. That was pretty trash the entire run of early access. So, but I don't think my brother knows that there's no balance changes. He is going to be gutted. My brother's going to be absolutely gutted he was going to go in and make a bunch of builds. We were going to do some duo builds together too, but now the balance is the exact same, so everything's kind of solved. So that really, really, really sucks. I don't know if they ending with that probably put a really sour taste on a lot of your mouths. What do you guys think? Like, you guys know the meme about me, right? I'm super positive and everything, right? Even though it's not necessarily true. That was probably the I did not feel good after that, unfortunately. I'm still going to play it. Are people still going to play it? I'm going to play it. Let him cook 1.0 will be crazy. Well, the thing is, NCOD, I know that they said they're doing Ascendancy reworks and they're doing a bunch of stuff, but there's no, like, I don't know. Testing is good. Getting it in the hands of us is obviously good. I think it would have been cool if we would have, you know, been able to test it for another 3 months. It's unfortunate, but it's fine. I could care less about balance right now. 05 had a ton of diversity. The problem is over-encouragement of dad gamers. Wait, I got to read that one. Over-encouragement of dad gamers that rely on people like Guy That Doesn't Flub Guns so people get stuck on builds. Right. Hey, you're calling out my dad right now. Come on, Wolf of Romulus. My dad is a Flub Gooner. He's a Guy That Dyer. Don't do that. Come on. Yeah, I'm definitely playing. Yeah, I'll be playing next week. You'll probably go back, complete the achievements for 05. I think doing a major balance rework for 1.0 is a really huge and risky gamble, and that it makes me question if the balance change is really going to be that big. I assume it's just going to be a bunch of revamps to ascendancies and uniques and stuff. That's what it sounded like. Timothy is scared of try. I didn't play 05, kind of keen on giving 055 a shot. Zao, you got to hop in, man. It was very fun. No balances, no ascendancies. It is, I totally was wrong with my predictions. Okay, except Trial of Chaos. That's cool. It's succinctly, I think it's disappointing, but understanding. Mark was pretty upfront. They didn't want to half-ass it. Okay, I respect that. They want to half-ass it. They still wanted to release the event because they said they were going to do it. Sounds like it was coming down kind of to the wire on whether or not they could put a good chunk of the balance changes, and they decided just against it. So it's all right. I get why the balance changes got moved back. Git can be a real pain when you have two very different branches being worked on. Yeah, I hated GitHub. I hated commit. I was terrible at all that. So what are we getting with 055? Great question, Gustav. There is an infographic of what we're getting. Here, I'll pull up the infographic right here. Here it is. What? We're getting Forbidden Rights in the campaign, Trial of Chaos rework, faster fortress completion. That's actually insane. You kill the Arbiter of Divinity one more time and you complete the entire fortress. That, what is that? Decreasing, it's like a fourth of the time, a fifth of the time to completion. Woo! Runes of Alder to core with lots of modifiers in the tablet pool, new Wildwood encounters, new endgame soul cores, abyssal ravines, and new tablet type expedition. That's what we're getting in 05. Plus challenge rewards. I was wrong too. I was pretty sure that 055 would be GG's last chance to test latest changes and especially new stuff. Yeah, me too. Honest question, why does the timing of balance matter so much? Not like we got to play test balance changes in PoE1. They just come as they are ready, trying to understand why it hits different. I think because there's going to be a lot of new players coming into the game in 1.0. And I think a lot of the community wants more options to be viable in the game and not have an explicit set of 3 or 4 builds that vastly overperform everything else. Like off the top of my head, the top 3 this league would be Twister. It would be the Monkey build, the Monkey Minion Spirit Walker build. And it would be Ice Shot to start the league. And then obviously Gemling Legionnaire, once you get a little bit of investment, becomes the go-to for pretty much every single skill. I think what people were looking for were to like test new ascendancy options in the lead up to 1.0, just to give GGG more feedback, because GGG wants the feedback, right? Sounds like they're making a bunch of changes with the feedback that people have given. They just didn't make it into the patch. Yeah, it's an economy reset. It's a whole separate league. I don't know how long it lasts, though. Last time they said it lasted a month, but I don't know if it's lasting until the end of early access. Not sure. Do you think that they think, too, that they may have learned from PoE 1 updates and they're taking a different new approach to test? Yahua is life. What I think is this is a very dangerous gambit. This is what I think. This is what I think. 1.0 comes out on December 11th. Lots of the company, most likely, going to take vacation for Christmas, New Year's, a couple weeks. A lot of it could be scuffed. I'm just being realistic here, guys. I've played GGG games for 8 years now. December updates, they can be scuffed. Like, there can be substantial bugs. There can be extreme outliers in power. And then there is kind of a skeleton crew. So I'm not saying it will be scuffed. It's probably going to be awesome. I'm just happy we're getting the whole campaign. That's the most exciting part to me. But with all the balance changes that are coming in, with the Duelist, with Swords, with all the different moving parts, it could be pretty busted. So, because that's what happened on 0.1. That's what happened with 0.4. That has happened with Bestiary and PoE 1. It's happened with a couple leagues in PoE 1. They even moved like a big patch to Metamorph that happened with PoE 1. I think they moved Echoes of the Atlas Ritual League in PoE 1 to January to avoid that. So, yeah. I feel like comparing PoE 1 release to PoE 2 is not taking into account that it's not the same environment they're in anymore. If the streamer community flames PoE 2, it will hurt. We know people listen. PoE 2 is unbelievably larger than Path of Exile 1. And if people flame Path of Exile 2, 100%. It makes a pretty substantial impact. We saw that with 0.2 Dawn of the Hunt. 100%. I'm pretty sure they're releasing the game on the 11th because they won't be on vacation in case of balance emergency and some broken mechanic. Sometimes stuff doesn't emerge for a while, and stuff takes time to fix. But regardless, it is unfortunate. It's sad. It still looks great. I'm going to play it. I'm going to have fun. Experience with any form of version control as a developer is crucial. Zhao, I'm just flashing back to my college classes, and then we do that here at my work too, but I'm not a developer. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, it's probably so messy. I don't know if 5.5 is only a month. We didn't get any info on that. It's possible it's only a month. Okay. Oh, the race has started. I'll put it on for a sec, guys, but I'm probably not going to watch the whole race. The race is up. Where's Angormus? Oh, Angormus is racing. Okay, he's doing Twister. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Twitch exploded, Rhea. Twitch completely exploded during the stream, unfortunately. So that's why you didn't get your drop progressing. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, oh my goodness. Looks like Dead Rabbit released a new video showing off his experience with the Duelist. Really? Did he? Let me see here. Where is it? Where is it? Thought I just saw it. Was I wrong? Where is it? Thought it popped up on my screen. Oh, did he hide it? Did he release it too early? I swore I saw this video, but now it's gone. Oh, I got to play the Duelist. No, it's right here. We have drops for the race this time. Yes, there should be drops. Yeah. How you doing on the budget, Natalie?
Played about this before, right? The players were kind of slow to make that.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are adjusting.
Hey, Zhao,
looks really
thanks for the
good, but not
23
everybody is
months. What do you
convinced
mean
that
don't be a
Huntress is better.
square?
Again,
What am I
Pony
doing
Society,
wrong? What are you
Woodish,
talking
we're
about?
sticking with it. And to give you guys a quick rundown of the rules, if you are new to these races, this will be
I'm
the
so
last
tempted to look at
qualifier for
this
Exile
Dead
Con
Rabbit
Period
video.
2. And it is a fixie race, so everybody's got the same layout, everybody's got the same shrines, they have the same boxes and the type of box, and I believe the tier of the role as well, not necessarily the roles themselves. So
Man,
we're
I
trying to make it as
really
even as
hope
possible,
Angormus
but obviously
wins.
the rare monsters there and everything is still mostly randomized, which yeah, we might be seeing
Yeah,
some different.
it's the same drop as the 055 reveal. I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back, you guys.
But we'll get into it when we get there, as our players are progressing over and already past the witch, picking up their flasks and getting their support gem.
Whole New Society in a little bit of a dangerous position here, as he did get very surrounded by just a huge amount of werewolves, but it's also a phenomenal train of XP for him to soak up there. So manages to navigate things pretty well with some well-placed dodge roll angles, moving through the woods. Did have to backtrack a little bit, so maybe lost a bit of time, but gained a bunch of XP in the process. So nicely handled there by Whole New Society. It is cool to still see so many mercenaries starting this race, because when I saw Angormus swapping to Huntress, I was like, that's it. Everyone's going to swap to Huntress. But I know that Crimson said he thinks Huntress is a little better, but he's better on mercenary. And for others, it might be the same. Honestly, I think it's still so close enough that absolutely, I think, it could have been a mercenary qualifying in previous weeks, and I think it still could be today. And certainly after last week's run, Whole New Society is a top contender for that, if they can keep that positive mental attitude and not have any early tap incidents or anything like that. But we saw Mercenary last week refine their strategy in Act 1 and 2 to compete with the Huntresses. Previously, they were pushing to level 31 for the final run through the event, whereas now they're pushing through at level 27, that early level, the same that the Huntresses are doing. A big shift in their strategy there, making things a little bit more tenuous, but much faster. And we should see even more refinements this week. And if anyone had any secret strategies in their back pocket, any little extra bits and pieces
QE2
that they were hard holding out for ExileCon, they're going to pull it out this week to get that qualifier slot, because it's all on the line this week.
Come on, guys. It's now I'm gonna sound like I'm flip-flopping, but I'm not flip-flopping. It's not that. Do I say it? I'll say it. It's not that big a deal that there's not balance changes, you guys. If they weren't ready, they're not gonna ship a half-ass product. I appreciate them kind of just coming out and saying that instead of shipping, a couple balance changes, having the game break, or just not saying anything at all. I do appreciate the transparency. I almost wish they would have fronted the announcement with it, though, instead of putting it at the very, very, very end after all the MTX promo. I asked if I could chat with Jonathan about 055. Now I'm understanding why they said it probably wouldn't be the best idea. That makes sense. Because now 1.0 is going to be ridiculous. Should I do Monkey in 055, guys? I've never played minion builds. Should I play the Monkey if it's not getting any changes? They're resetting the drops because of the crap going on? Okay.
So 99% chance
what about
that the
Jimothy being
second
added
place
to
player
Q2 as a
today
pet?
is
Okay.
the runner-up that will, have a potential chance of,
Dude, the whole point of the league was balance change. Oh, we build not bought. We talked about this. I 100% agree with you. The entire initial point of the league was supposed to be big balance changes. This is what they said. Might even come with new ascendancies. That wasn't a promise, but it was supposed to be big balance changes. Now the only point of the event is for people who enjoy PvE2 to have something to do, to have something new to chase in the interim, because it's what? When did 05 come out? No. Did it come out May 29th? Did it come out May 20? When did 05 come out? Was it May 29th? Because then it would have been like a 6th. UE2 0.5 came out. Released when? May 29th. So it would have been like 6 months, 6.5 months until 1.0. This is like the concession. I think from my standpoint, of course it sucks. Of course, I think I wouldn't say it's a mistake. I can't really make that call, but I think it totally is sad and sucks that they're not able to do that. I think it would have been a lot more fun to not know the meta, to have some sweeping changes, to have like a new ascendancy or two, or even have old ascendancies revamped 100%. Like, I don't think it's going to completely doom the entire game, and I think people are still going to be playing it. It just sucks, unfortunately. But I can tell that, you know, people are not going to be happy about it, which I understand. I understand being upset, disappointed, sad. I hope people aren't crashing out about it. Like I said, it was a case of overpromise, under-delivery. Yeah.
That you take for granted that you practiced 1,000 times can be so difficult.
Gazzy,
Yeah,
when all
Gemini,
the
Unearthed
things come
Minions.
together.
Ooh.
Which is definitely someone to keep an eye on. Previously unknown Path of Exile 2 racer, like you said, had done some excellent runs in Last Epoch, another action RPG, but now
Oh, man.
coming out of nowhere to drop some insanely competitive runs in these qualifiers. So obviously making a play for the final qualifier slot today. And they've had a few weeks there where they definitely could have.
Yeah, I'm hoping they make a couple adjustments to skills, but it sounds like they're not making any adjustments. It sounds like there's no like character balance changes, that it's just affecting content systems. Ooh, John's Profera. I think that 055 is terrible, just placating people. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I do think it's a placation. I do think it's there just so people can play something. Are they only doing 1.0 with missing character classes and missing ascendancies? Honestly, they really need to pick Pee-wee 1 or Pee-wee 2. Ooh, those are some fighting words. Those are some fighting words. Are they only doing 1.0 with missing character classes and missing ascendancies? I guess I don't know what you mean. Like, will I make a non-meta monk sword character? I'm going to play a sword character 100% on 1.0. Oh no, Arrow. Arrow, there's not good vibes here, bro. There's not good vibes. It took the wind out of my sails. It took the wind. It is unfortunate. I'm not going to lie. I was sad. I was sad when Jonathan was, or sorry, when Mark was going over the MTX, I was like, where's the balance changes? Surely they're going to talk about the big balance changes. That was the focus of 055. And then Mark's like, and by the way, we're not doing any balance changes. And I was just like, oh, no, I wanted to try some new stuff out. I wanted to play some new ascendancies that had some big reworks. No, I don't have anything good. At least there's a reset. At least there's a reset. And it does. The Trial of Chaos looks cool, Arrow. That was probably my least favorite content in the game. I just made a video about Trial of Chaos being bad. And that actually looks kind of cool. Okay. I'm not hating. See, people think I'm a hate. You guys are. This is called nuance, guys. This is called nuance. I also give props to GGG for being transparent and just saying, I mean, like just saying we were going to do it. We can't do it. Here's why. It's not happening. It was another case of overpromise, underdeliver. They pivoted to doing more content focused as opposed to more character focused, which I thought 055 was going to be more character focused. But now it has the Trial of Chaos revamp. It has Runes of Eldur and Expedition tablets and a big range of modifiers and the Rite of the Nameless / Ritual and all the leagues. And Affliction's back. Hey, Arrow. Affliction's back. That's probably my favorite PoE 1 league of all time. Oh, shoot. How could you hate the Wildwood, Arrow? You're a juicer. You're a blaster. I can't. Okay, but real snug. Okay. I don't know if you're a raider, real snug, but I didn't see you in chat before. He has the right idea. I'm very hyped for 1.0 in Swords. That looks goated. Totally agree. Totally agree that Swords looks goated. Okay. I'm very excited for Swords. I don't know if I'm going to be a Cyclone guy, though. I think I don't know about this Cyclone. We'll see. We'll see, but Swords look pretty sick. The juice from the Wildwood was awesome. The Wildwood itself was right. The Wildwood is merely a juicing mechanism, right? The big pop, that was wonderful. It's a trash mechanic. People liked being rich. What? I wasn't rich, Arrow. I did like that mechanic. I thought it was very cool. Conditional cycle of luck. Yeah. Okay, no, okay, but there's something that's so funny here, guys, because when Jonathan was talking about sword skills, it sounded like he was talking about a completely different game than what lots of you play and that what Mark plays. I swear, when he was given the breakdown, okay, yeah, I was very poor, Arrow. But it didn't matter that I was poor because I had Cleave of Rage and the charms in that league were so ridiculous. I could swap in just a moment, get max rage for Cleave of Rage right when I walked on the map as a berserker. Oh, it was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, yeah, when Jonathan was talking about how intricate all these sword skills were and how designing one skill is like designing four, all I could think was like, man, dude, from what you guys are catering to, only a small percentage of players are actually like going to engage with that. A sword skill's going to need a Street Fighter controller to play. I get mad about stupid stuff and tries to be the voice of reasoning for the things you should get mad about. What? What are you talking about, tired of modern streamers? Are you talking about how I think they should revert to the dodge of 0.1 and how this is a very important thing? Come on, revert to 0.1 dodge. Let us get surrounded. Let people see the mistakes of their actions. Come on. Wow, look at that damage from Engormus. Heck yeah. Is Engormus in first place? Has he done Praetor yet? Come on. Did he do it? Oh, he hasn't done Praetor. Whoa, is he behind? Oh, he's behind Relicario. Oh, boy. Also, we didn't get hot swapping yet either. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a problem. You fix that problem. You don't ignore it. The game can be designed to work with a combo playstyle. Oh, it is sad that great swords don't have parry. That's interesting. The only thing that makes me worried about swords is being forced into bucklers on the second slot for the bash. It's if you want to do a particular playstyle, Big Eyes, right? Where you can do an offensive parry, essentially, so you don't have to wait for a monster to hit you, right? Gotta use weapon swap. We don't know anything. I think that's the most frustrating thing about it all. What do you mean the Hansai? As in we don't know anything about balance? Well, what did he say? What did he say? Reworked Ascendancies, reworked Uniques. I think those are the two things that he said, you know, that they were working on. Try just tell us the truth. You want to remove Sprint Run? No, I'm fine with Sprint Run. No, I'm totally fine with Sprint. Sprint's fine. I actually like Sprint. What would I like removed? I mean, Sprint is fine. It just makes a lot of the mechanics in certain fights and with certain monsters completely trivialized if you know how to use it. Huntress is the fastest class, so being a bit behind the Druid that falls off a cliff doesn't matter right now. Very true. It does look like another Huntress is right on Angormus's tail. Chakal Koa. See, and Angormus just isn't as practiced with Huntress, which is really unfortunate. So he could fall behind too. Whoa, look at the damage he's doing. Whoa, Angormus, let's go, man. Heck yeah. Remove the knockdown of Sprint, then we go. No, man. No, Sprint needs punishment. No. The knockdown on Sprint is needed. Okay, here's the thing. Are people who complain about Sprint, are these mouse users? Because on WASD, I think Sprint is totally fine. I think that a lot of people who have problem with Sprint use point to click. Sprint is fine. I'm not. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. The more sword gameplay they show, the less excited I am. There's no way that these endgame builds are going to require all these different buttons, you guys. I'm just going to be real. The power level that we have in Path of Exile 2 is equivalent to that of Path of Exile 1. You'll be able to 1-2 button press builds. Maybe on bosses you do a little bit of prep to absolutely eviscerate them, but You saw the Rax interview, Try? I was not on my game during that interview, dude. I was ready to go on my cruise boat. I didn't even push back against Rax with the sprint. I kicked myself over not fighting back in the sprint discussion. You know I'm very pro sprint. Just make getting hit in sprint instant. No, just don't sprint if you don't want to get knocked down. Or just dodge. Guys, I swear, sprint is fine. I can sprint all around endgame maps as long as... The thing is, you got to pay attention. That's the only problem. Or just make a build that you don't need to sprint with. Go to 787 Prada. Look at his Bone Shatter tech. Look at his Whirling Slash tech, okay? You'll never need to sprint again. I don't know. I feel like people who complain about combo have never played the game. You already know you won't have to do all the combos in a game. 100%. 100%. No, Crimson, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get wife with my dinner. Yeah, I'm going to get wife with my dinner. That's what I'm going to do. That sound good, dinner? You want to get some wife? What? I misspoke. Are you streaming, Crimson? Are you streaming right now? Are you already out of the race? I thought he had you on the screen. There's no way you dipped. Last week, didn't you get the fastest Act 1? Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Also, I think it's so funny how many people are pointing out my hair. It's kind of crazy. Crimson's so good they can chat while they run. Very good job, Crimson Cass. I don't understand that 1.0 will still not contain all the classes and weapons. Only swords will be added in a new class. Then why not call it 0.6? Because they changed what class is classified as 1.0. They want to make 1.0 free to play, and they want 1.0 to have the full campaign. And that is 1.0 in their definition. But the good news is, Tukey 241, they will not stop updating after 1.0. They will continue updating the game for many, many years to come. We'll get everything eventually. Crimson must have instantly dipped. Or he is actually racing. No, he must be casting. Question, will they get the campaign complete by 1.0? Anzai, don't even. They 100% have to get the campaign complete by 1.0. I'm sure the campaign's already done. I am so curious what is in Act 6. Oh, that's going to be so much fun on December 11th, figuring that out. Playing Act 5 and 6 for the first time. Fighting all those bosses, all the new monsters, exploring the areas, using a sword. I'm either going to stumble into a broken build, or it's just going to be terrible. It's going to be a terrible build. So keen on seeing all the cool new stuff. Me too, Zal. Like the Coliseum and the boss fight shown today. Oh, incredible. Wow, all these guys are neck and neck. Look at this. The top 4 are just all right next to each other. Have you seen the drivers on these roads? Humans are the pinnacle of not paying attention to them, then blaming their lack thereof on anything else. Negligent avarice. So true. Sounds like you might have heard my little duckling story that I posted on my second channel. Whoa, Frosty LaRue. What's going on, man? You missed Negative Nancy Try earlier. Or Toxic Try. How you doing, dude? How's your daughter? Are you pumped for No Rest for the Wicked 1.0? I'm pretty excited for that in October. Literally, what? Month and a half away? That's going to be fun. You missed Toxic Try? Yeah, some people loved my skits. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing my Toxic Try skits again. Those were pretty fun. Where I put glasses on and I was Toxic Try. Yeah, pretty great. Watching Green Lantern series. I saw that came out. HBO Max, yeah. I'll just stumble onto a broken build again, my guy. I don't follow build guides. I just stumble into something that obliterates the campaign and everybody's like, oh, look at you. Toxic Try is a cool name. It is indeed. You're super punped? Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. PV2 good. We should doom for No Rest for the Wicked instead. No way, dude. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to create some freaking news videos with Thomas Mahler in the thumbnail. just like I do with Jonathan. I'm going to nab that No Rest for the Wicked audience. That's such a fun game. The only thing I'm not a big fan of in No Rest for the Wicked is the whole survival system mechanic with the food. But I can deal with it. The fights in that game, awesome. Love the combat mechanics. Love how frustrated I get at myself and not the game. Great. Very, very fun. It's also beautiful. I decided, seeing that 1.0 was coming out in October and they're doing the whole class system, I never finished the game. I got to, I think I'm like level 27 or something. I don't know how close I am to the end of the current update, but whew, that's going to be fun. Yeah, classes and No Rest and more story. Yep. Oh, is this a highlight? What is this? Oh, who is this? Wait, this is number 1. They weren't even on screen. No, no. Where's Angormus? Angormus isn't even in the top 10. Ah, oh my goodness, another raid. Both Arrow and Aaron Action RPG. All right, see ya, Aaron. Aaron would love to see me dooming on Path of Exile too a little bit. Okay, I wasn't dooming, but I'm sure he would have loved to see that. Hope you have a great night, man. What's going on, everybody? What did you guys think of the reveal, and what do you think of Wolcen 2? You know, I gotta say, the two creators I watched before anybody else in the RPG space were Aaron and Riker. This was before I even played any Path of Exile games, because I was watching, you know, Aaron play. I think it was Wolcen. I think it was Wolcen 1. I know his channel kind of got that growth from Wolcen, and now Wolcen 2 is coming out. I can't believe Wolcen 2 is coming out, because I thought Wolcen 1 ended up being kind of a cash grab at the end of the day. I vividly remember watching a Riker video where he was like so excited about it, and he was fighting like the Act 2 boss, and it was crazy. And then the game came out, and then it was super buggy, and everybody was pissed. What's going on with Wolcen 2? How is this a thing? Yeah, Wolcen. I think Aaron was playing Wolcen 2. I think he was. Really, you guys want classes for No Rest of the Wicked instead of it being centered around builds like Souls? It has classes, piss slick. Like, those are coming to the game. Hey, Guilty Summoner, what's happening, man? Which broke for you, but Wolcen 2 is interesting? Okay. Yeah, most of the top people are Huntress. Yeah, well, Huntress is really good at speedrunning because you don't need anything to win, really. Aaron's main thing with Wolcen 1 was the series. Is Wolcen fixed yet? No way. Why would you pay for Wolcen 2 when they straight up scam the first time? It seems like a lot of people are trying it out. I will never forget your reaction when one equipment made you OP. Yeah, that's the crazy thing that happens with PoE. PoE 2. Oh no. Oh, first place died? No way. Oh, they died to the boss? How did they die to Candlemass? Oh my goodness. Okay, this is making me really sad. I really wanted Angormus to win. He's currently fallen out already. He didn't stop streaming, did he? Dang. No, this is an Act 1 through Act 4 run, you guys. Where is Angormus? Oh. All right, let's see. He's not on screen right now. Not on screen. But you guys, thank you so much for choosing to watch my stream for the reveal today. I'm excited to play 055. I'll be live next week to play it. And of course, you know, 1.0 hype. I'm going to go get dinner with my wife. Kids are currently at grandma and grandpa's. So we're going to go get dinner. I'm going to raid you guys on over to 787 Prada, who is also watching the race. You can get drops there if you were on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, I'm sorry. Today, right now, is where the stream ends. See you guys later. Have a wonderful night. God bless. Oh, I don't even see Angormus. No, poor Angormus. Oh.